You yearn for horizons unexplored, for fellowship and purpose, for a cause worth dying for. To you, we can promise magic.
Hello everybody! Oh, not that yet. Not that. We'll deal with that in short time. Hello everybody, welcome to another video. Sorry. That was the generic intro. Welcome to another episode of Guild Wars 3 Daily. Your daily dose of Guild Wars 3 commentary, lore discussion, gameplay review, trailer analysis, and punditry. Yeah, hi everyone. And you'll notice that the intro is no longer jank. That was never Mr. Modius's fault. It was always my fault. I've managed to fix that up. Basically, in OBS, I was using VLC to pull up trailer footage, video footage, stuff like that. And it just seems, I don't know, something about my PC. It seems way worse than using their new, like, generic media thing. So I'm using that, and it's very smooth, buttery smooth, lovely. I wish I had that set up a few days ago. I wish I had that set up, what, like a year ago? How long has my outro been bugging? For a long time. I don't know whether it's just finally clicked into a good space in recent versions of OBS or what, but oh my god. Oh, I forgot they did pinatas in some of the other towns as well. That's crazy. Yeah, so that's all good now, and it should be fixed up. Now today, what we're going to be doing, I promise, pinky promise, I swear, is we're actually going to be looking at the news, their studio philosophy. I feel a bit weird. It's now been 48. Well, it's been 24 hours, and I still don't know what AreaNet actually said in that announcement. Something about the scope of the game. Obviously, we've heard some vague comments from them that it seems like it's going to have a more refined focus. It's tackling a different niche to this game, which could mean smaller. You know, MMO. It's a console release. It's going to be playing on a controller. It's in Unreal Engine, which, in fact, actually have AreaNet themselves, first party, talked about Unreal Engine at any point? I don't think they have they? We're all still just assuming that, aren't we? Because of all the job postings, and well, you can tell it's Unreal by looking at it. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, these are all things that make me think it might be smaller. But smaller can mean many different things in many different contexts. It can mean less players in Zergs. It can mean, which is what I suspect this post is dealing with, based just from the drive-by, the glances at some of the conversation I've seen. It can mean we're going to have less systems. It can mean we're going to have... we're focusing exclusively on the open world. We're not having dungeons. We're not having raids. We're not having this. We're not having that. We're not... You know, or it could mean that they're still having a bunch of different formats. It's just that, you know, you do them in a very bite-sized way. They're 5-minute little adventures rather than 50-minute long grueling dungeons. You know, it can mean so many things when they say they're refining the scope. Is that the scope of our gameplay? Is that the scope of the build craft? Whatever. So I'm very curious what they have to say there. As before, I've got a bunch of comments and questions from you guys. Interesting observations. Yeah, there's a little bit of Sylvari discussion in there still, but we're kind of worming our way out of that now. And yeah, we're doing a PC fund as well. We are actually trying to get a better PC so that I stop streaming to you at crappy frame rates, and so that we actually look good when we're onto Guild Wars 3. So as I go along, if you guys do have donations, please, for the love of God, please put a question on any donation that goes into the fund. And then I can answer it, and I'll happily be interrupted by you guys with that. Hopefully this doesn't... You guys were so rude yesterday. We had a plan, and you just kept donating and giving your questions, and then the plan got thrown aside. So hopefully we don't have that again today. Speaking of which, we do already have $5. Thank you very much to Papa Bungle. Papa Bungle says, give us this day our daily yearn, and give us our press passes, as we forgive those who press pass against us. Brilliant. Yeah, welcome to the Daily Yearn, everyone. Maybe that should be the intro. But then what about when they release a new trailer and there's some new dialogue and it doesn't mention yearning? What are we going to do? We'll despair. People selfishly giving me money. I know. It's outrageous, isn't it? Okay, so, yeah, let's just jump in. Well, first of all, hello to the live chat. Have I watched the No Law Unreal Engine tech demo? Could be a sign of things to come for Guild Wars 3. No, I haven't. What is that? I did see a headline today about how Unreal Engine 6 is scheduled for, like, next year or something. But at their... And I immediately that raised my eyebrows, and I thought, oh, God, is Guild Wars going to be out of date immediately? What's very much on my mind is, like, GW2 came out right as DirectX was going through a big change. And, like, even though they updated DirectX shortly after... End of Dragons, we're still not very modern with this game. And that's the scary thing about MMOs. There's so many scary things about making MMOs. The people who make MMOs are mad, by the way. Talented artists, talented programmers, genius, enthusiastic people, and they're dedicating their lives to making these really fucking risky products. It's crazy, man. I mean, really. So, but that's another risk, obviously, with MMO development. You lock yourself in for years and years and years, and suddenly the technology shifts beneath your feet. I honestly think AI is a big conversation. Yeah, people are against it for now, but we're going to see it be incorporated into art and stuff. And it's a good match for MMOs in a lot of ways. In terms of, and when I say art, I don't mean like textures and shit. I mean the storytelling, I mean NPC interactions, I mean voice acting. I mean, there's a lot of shit. And you're going to find that I still think you're going to find over the next 30, 40, 50 years, you're going to see, but it depends what regulation ends up looking like, right? But you're going to see people who are principled and don't use it are going to fall behind people who are unprincipled and do use it. And it's going to advance and get better and stuff. But anyway, you know, that 3-4 years ago, where presumably they're spinning this project up, that was all kicking up. Yeah, anyway, so, my eyebrows raised about Unreal Engine 6 because I thought, shit, are we going to be out of date? But it seems a bunch of, like, wanky nonsense. It was stuff like you can share assets between totally different Unreal Engine games or something. Have I got that wrong? I must have got that wrong. I don't mean like developers, I mean players. Like players can like unlock skins and move it across entire programs or something. Is that right? It was something bizarre like that. And I saw someone like had a sneering comment saying this is a bit NFT-ish, and it seemed really waffly and really silly. So I don't know. I don't really think it's a terrible thing. I also don't know if you have an Unreal Engine 5 product, can you bump it up the version comfortably? I'm gonna guess no, and I'm gonna guess if you're doing a big complicated game, definitely no, which an MMO falls into certainly. Oh, okay. So we're supposed to be for our annual. We're wrapping up the Dragon Festival now. For our annual, we need to bet on the mower racing. So I need to move quick. I've got 1 minute to get there. I don't really remember where it's. Yeah, it's over there. Oh, we could just waypoint. I think we'll make it anyway. An unnecessary risk I'm taking here, but whatever. Okay, so we place our bets with this guy. No, that's a player, not an NPC. That's a cool moment. I love that. Who should we go for? Meep, Mystic Forgery, Logan's Lover, or Tipping the Scales, or Fighting Commander. Fuck it, there's going to be stream delay. I'm going with the Logan's Lover, because I am Logan's Lover. And can I mount him? Can I ride him? I think I should be able to, right? I remember when they first introduced this, I was really excited about what they would do in future X-Packs. And they did do, like, the little mount runs in EOD. You guys remember that? Well, how do I observe? Oh, this guy? Spectate. Here we go. Logan's Lover. Come on, Logan. I believe in you. So yeah, we got one of the annual things is to get this right, and it only comes up like every 10 minutes or so. So it's a good thing to idle waiting around for in Holbrack while we chill and chat. The other thing I need to do is I need to eat Zytaffy. I need to eat like 1,000. Oh, I can't use consumables while I'm in Amoa. Interesting. I wonder if people are abusing that in some way. That's very strange, isn't it? Come on, Logan's Lover. All right. Yeah, so, wow, more donations. Hello, everyone. Wow. Venny with the 10 euros for the PC Fund. Thank you. WP, if you had to be corrupted by one of the Elder Dragons, which one would you pick? Jormag. Jormag, it's like pleasant, isn't it? Like you willingly go into it. Look at the Sons of Svanir. They're just basically bros with cooked brains that willingly walk into it, right? And all those people that got froze when they come out, didn't they talk about they felt like they were on paradise? They saw they were on a beach? I don't think there's any words like that from other... Well, that's the thing, though. You don't really hear from people except Glint and one risen chicken that are truly cleansed. Well, I guess the Sylvari? The Sylvari are weird, though, right? Because for most of the dragons, when they die, their minions are still roaming around. It doesn't just magically cleanse everyone. But when Morgemoth died, the Mordrim Guard did start reverting back. Weren't they just full of trauma and sadness and upset? Oh, my God, we might actually get this. Go! Go, Logan's Lover. I believe in you. No, 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 not Mystic Forgery. We're ahead of him. We might have it. Oh, baby. Wait, where is the end? Oh, shit. There's still a lot more to go. We might have blown our energy early. This is making me nervous. Uh-oh. Mind you, the races in Arborstone at Club Canuck were coded such that it really was random, and it's just who gets the burst of speed when. Yeah, we did it. One race. Oh, hell yes. Wait, hold on. Wasn't that supposed to ding an annual thing for me? Do I have to do that multiple times? Dragon Bash. Dragon Bash feats. Winner's Circle. I have to pick it 5 times. Oh my God, that's a time sink. Screw that. There's no way 5 times. So I do need to eat 1,000 Zytaffy, so... We eat, which is painful, by the way. This stuff's expensive, and the Jawbreakers are worth money. So there we go. We do that. And then the other stuff is like the events that are going on in the maps. We'll have a look at that in a second. Let's get through some of the Guild Wars 3 commentary here. Yeah, if I had to be corrupted, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna say Jormag. Ad Astrel has an interesting comment. I wouldn't want to derail the conversation, but I wanted to ask if you have a favorite prime number. No, I don't. Sorry. That's 200 CZK. I'll just say 7, I guess, because, you know, 7 is like the number that everyone has a bit of an affinity to, and everyone picks when they want to feel safe picking a random number between 1 and 10. 7's always ultra overrepresented. And I'll give you another reason why I like 7. Okay, do you guys remember learning your times tables? I sucked at learning my times tables when I was at, like, you know, junior school or whatever. And I remember I used to be given these cards, these like squares, and you'd have like a times table square. I don't know whether they teach children that any better anymore or what. But, you know, you can get the 10s, that's easy. You can get the 5s, that's easy. You can get the 2s, that's easy. But all the other ones I struggled with. I couldn't just get it. I couldn't get it like rote. And I was given some advice by my teacher to just learn one of them, and they promised the other ones would come easy. So, for example, if I learned the 8 times table, then 4s would come easy, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to pick one at random that I'm struggling with, and I'm going to learn it as best as I possibly can. And I picked 7, which doesn't really divide very well into any of the others. But was filled with lots of weird numbers. And 7, like, I knew my 7 times table way better than like my 6 times table or anything. And to this day, I still have a bit of a weird affinity with that. So I don't know. I guess I'll say 7. Sorry, I'm not that kind of nerd, really. John Sellers, this time being a little bit different with his his pay picking. $20. Thank you, John. Do the gifted memberships go towards the PC? No, I don't think so. I'm not very good at stream elements and stuff like that. I have it set up for super chats. So whatever comes in on super chats, that's what's filling that bar. And that is before platform fees, by the way, as well. So when we get to the 3 grand, I don't really have 3 grand in my pocket. I think YouTube takes 30% at least, maybe. I don't know. I shouldn't talk about this because I should know. Like, it's about money. You should know what you're talking about. But yeah, that's one of the reasons I put it to 3 instead of like 2.5 or something. But yeah, oh my god, there's a giant moth in here. Oh my god, it's been here since last night. It's a huge moth. It's like, I'm scared of moths. It's like the size of a bird. I showed it to Kerry and she was like, that's not the size of a bird. It's huge. Oh god, please don't bother me. The one nice thing about this new place is the ceilings are quite high. So when the bugs are flying around the lights high up, they're not necessarily fluttering on the back of my neck and around my ears and down the back of my shirt. No, it's huge. I also don't have a wardrobe right now, by the way. A little insight to me here. I don't have a wardrobe at this place. I couldn't be bothered to buy a wardrobe, build a wardrobe, and then use the very, very, very steep, narrow stairs where I am. And it was so I couldn't just have a wardrobe and then take it in. I'd have to build it, and then what, like 6 months later, maybe 9 months later, when I move again, dismantle the whole thing. So I just got one of those racks, one of those like poles. I'm living in a weird way at the moment, guys. Really. Maybe this should be a wardrobe fund, not a PC fund. But yeah, so I bought like one of those. You know, you could just basically buy a pole on wheels. So all my clothes are just like out at the moment. I mean, they're hung up, but they're not in a wardrobe. And the moth, I just saw it literally fly into one of my hoodies. So hopefully it's not having a big snack there. Anyway, yeah, do gift memberships go towards the PC? I don't think they do, John. It's just super chats. That's just tracking super chats. And I'm sure I could set up some kind of fancy new thing that does more, but I haven't figured that out. Real quick here, in-game, I have 5 notifications. We got Masters of the Arena. We got all the relics. We have 2 things done for the weekly. So I have 1,000 currency. This season I'm actually behind. I don't have all the weapons yet. I don't think I have a single one of the weapons yet. I don't have any of the unique skins. I don't know why I prioritized the Black Lion keys. These were such a good update, by the way. Because they're a real sync on the Astral Acclaim. I really feel it's much harder to get all the Astral Acclaim for a season now that these keys are in here and some of the other changes. ArenaNet have really done well with this. I was a Debbie about the Wizards Vault. I had big dreams and big ideas and big thoughts about a good daily system for this game that can help them with retention. And by the way, I hope all the lessons they've learned they apply to Guild Wars 3. I was a big Debbie, but, you know, their original statement when they released it was, we're going to keep modifying it and we're going to see what people say. And they did. They did it slow, right? But they did. And it's in a good place now. I like to buy a lot of these things. A lot of them. Let's go for the skins, though, because Fashion Wars 2. No, because Guild Wars Master. I might say, there we go. See, we already can't afford another one. Because I want to have the most skins. I really hope they do an update one day where you can choose to display your combat level or your mastery level. You know, when you click on someone. Oh, here we go. The race is going on again. That was pretty quick. All right, who do we do this time? Fighting Commander. Yeah, I love the idea of when you look at people, you don't just have their mastery level or their combat level, but you can pick. Even in PvE, I can display to you my World versus World rank if I want, or my PvP rank if I want, or my AP, or my skin score, the number of skins I have unlocked in the account. And if they put that in, oh, my account will look good. Oh my god, the prestige. But we'll see. Right, okay, so sorry, yes. Prod 827. What the hell is that? $30,000 CRC. The color is coming up like pink, so what currency is that? This is £50, they say. Oh my god, dude. £50 is a lot of money. Anyone who's been donating around that level, that's insane. Thank you. Hi WP. Glad to be able to support the Potato PC Fund. Do you think that they should do Living World for Guild Wars 3 or annual expansions? By the way, this is about 50 quid. Dude, 30,000 CRC. What currency is that? That's amazing, man. Thank you so much. You've officially taken the biggest number I've ever seen on a donation. And 50 quid is nothing to be sniffed at. Do I think they should do Living World or expansions? Well, straight away, I think expansions. Expansions are exciting. Alright, to be a bit of a Debbie, I think Guild Wars 2 has taught me that expansions aren't always exciting. That you can sell an expansion that is too small in scope. So for many years with Guild Wars 2, I was like, yeah, expansion. But then, you know, the excitement has waned for me, to be honest. And I think we all feel that. Let's all be real with the mini-X back era and stuff, right? But nonetheless, despite all of that, I'm still a big believer in them. They get me excited as a fan. I don't mind the box price. I know that we all have different financial backgrounds and socioeconomic statuses and stuff, and you know, for some of you, expansions are too frustrating, and I understand that completely. But I'm privileged and lucky enough to not. Oh god, we picked the worst guy. To not have to worry about the box price, and you know, it's just thrilling. What I really like is physical. You see, I don't really like. I'm not. It's funny I'm saying this. I honestly don't collect things or tat or care. You know, I'm not the kind of person. Like, if I had a face cam, I'd be a streamer that just has a white background rather than a bunch of shit everywhere. I don't know. Maybe for the purposes of streaming, it's better to put stuff back there. So maybe that's not even true. But anyway, I don't care that much. But I do like buying like a collector's edition of a game franchise. I really like. I like collector's editions. I like that moment where you get something physical. Expansions used to offer that. Obviously, modern Guild Wars 2 expansions not so much. So I don't. But I think that I like it as a fan from an excitement perspective. But I think it's very good from a business perspective in terms of it gets the conversation going. It's something that makes sense to outsiders. Oh, Guild Wars 2 is getting an expansion. We know what that means. Even if we're an Elder Scrolls Online player, we know what that means. Hearing the next season of Living World is coming out does not instill excitement. The word season in general does not instill excitement at all. It makes people think of battle passes and mediocre stuff. Like, and I'm not talking about Guild Wars. I'm not talking about AreaNet's work. I'm talking about the industry, right? The industry has dined out and played with that term and killed the term, really. I don't think it's a marketable thing. I don't think you'll take someone outside of Guild Wars and they'll hear, oh, a new season's coming. No. On the other hand, do you know a game that I'm very interested in? No Man's Sky. Yeah, you didn't think I was going to say that. I played No Man's Sky like once, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I had a lot of fun with it. I had my time with it. And do you know what's weird about that game? I feel like I always have my eye on it somehow. The internet has kept it in my crosshairs. And it's because that guy, what's his name, Sean? By the way, is No Man's Sky a British studio? Because the guy's British, right? The guy that everyone called a liar and missold it, and then he worked his arse off, and now he's a darling of the industry. He's British, right? But is it a British studio? Is No Man's Sky a British product? Anyway, that game, what that guy does, right, is he does a single tweet of like an emoji. Like he'll tweet like a wave or something, and the community shits itself. The community is so excited and so thrilled and like speculative about what that means, and then it turns out, oh yeah, look, we're overhauling all the oceans, and we're adding rivers, and we're adding waterfalls, and we're adding whirlpools, and we're adding geysers, or whatever. I don't know. I kind of just made that up, right? But that's, you know, he'll tweet a globe or a little Lego block or something, and whatever they're doing, they don't sell expansions, they don't sell boxes, they don't market expansions, do they? They just do updates. Is that not right? And somehow, like, I always end up catching that news, you know. And I look at a lot of other games that I play. 2 of my game of the years last year, guys. If you're looking for time to burn before Guild Wars 3, all right? Here's some games that I like. I love games in the AA space and in the sort of the really strong indie space, right? There's a lot of games from small teams that I fucking adore and I had so much fun with last year. Like Core Keeper, like Abiotic Factor, like games like Vampire Survivors or Heroes of Hammerwatch 2. Oh my god, these are all fantastic RPGs and fun games. You guys should check all of these out. And I don't need expansions for those games. I just watch the news come in on Steam where they're like, here's the next update. Like Abiotic had a trailer at Summer Game Fest as well, I think. Was it Summer Games Fest? And it's like it's like a beach episode that's coming out or something. It looks fucking awesome. And so on this conversation about like Guild Wars 2 and Guild Wars 3 and expansions or not, you know, I wonder if I'm starting to be a bit inobjective in a lot of ways. I cling to the idea of expansions and the way that expansions made me feel, the way that Eye of the North made me feel, the way that expansions for other MMOs have made me feel. But the honest to God truth is a lot of games that I really like that I don't really talk about on the channel that much, you know, only in segments like this. They don't do expansions, but I keep up with their news. I just wait for big updates. Like when I used to like Phasmophobia, for example, before I realized that was definitely not going anywhere. You know, it was really cool to be like, oh, here's the next big update, you know? Or whatever your current friend slop is. Oh, Lethal Company had an update. They're adding a few new moons to go explore. It's sort of enough. And when I look at that, right, it's basically Living World. Living World was ArenaNet's little brand name for their updates, right? Their quarterly updates. That's all it was. And we've moved away from it now. Now we just talk about having quarterly updates, don't we? It's an odd one. I don't know. Here's my question to you guys. And I'm sort of spraying water in the face of Debbie right now. Get out of here, Debbie. Right? So I'm not going to say it out loud. I'm just going to poll you guys. All right? This is a big question I'm about to ask you all. A big question. This deserves its own video. I know we've said that a lot. That should be on the fucking bingo, guys. That's a good one for the bingo. Okay, so I'm not saying it out loud. All right, but here's a poll for you. Just to get your vibe, everyone. Do you want mini expansions plus quarterlies for Guild Wars 3? The current world that we live in for Guild Wars 2. Do you want this exact business model for Guild Wars 3? That is the question. Alright, come on, Logan's lover. You did it for me last time. Let's do it this time. Yeah, see, look at that shit. Immediately people are voting. I don't want to sway it in any way. Alright, just get your votes in. See what you think. Yeah, so there you go. Hopefully that's a £50 response. That's a £50 premium response right there. And thank you very much, Prod827, for contributing to the PC. David Baker also coming in with a big donation as well. $50 this time. Thanks for the best series in Guild Wars 2 YouTube. The Let's Play series was some of the best videos to watch while you work. Oh, thank you, man. The Guild Wars 2 LP burned me out. It really did, but I made sure that, you know, because I mean, let's face it, we didn't go on very far with Season 2, and I've basically shit-canned it now, right? Actually, it didn't burn me out, let's be honest. Dragonstorm killed my enthusiasm for that. Why do a big love letter let's play chronicling the entire story of the game when it's all building to an Elder Dragon conclusion that you're not even excited in. I couldn't do it anymore, man. I couldn't do a season 2 let's play leading to Heart of Thorns that I knew was a bit iffy, but then it's really good with POF, and then oh no, man, I couldn't do it anymore. But what I did, I really put effort in. I'm very proud of that let's play. I'm proud of the ideas I had, like with Casey and juggling the characters and the montage at the end. You know, if I could be so arrogant, I think one of the all-time Hall of Fame moments for me is that montage at the end. I loved the way that I ended that with the Sylvari quote from the Vigil about the Sylvari who saw a single gleaming sword in the darkness, and he gets asked, "What did you do?" And he said, "I followed the light." I love that quote. I thought I edited that in beautifully, and that I don't know. I thought it was really good. So I'm glad you liked that. It's weird. I get more comments on the Guild Wars 1 LP than that one. It feels like the Guild Wars 2 LP is kind of buried in a way. There were some weird bits in it where people felt I was being insincere about like my enthusiasm for certain things. So like early on, I was like showing some of the upgrade components you can get. Like you can slot a garnet pebble into your gear, and I was like, this is cool that you can do this. And it's because we all know full well that doesn't really mean anything in the gameplay. But I'm excited about the systems nonetheless. So, you know, there were some little bits in there. There were some gaps as well. Most series I do have a hiatus at some point, right? But yeah, I was very happy with that. And thank you. Thank you for the $50 in recognition of that series. That's lovely. Rocker with another €2. He's showering us in these €2 coins. We're collecting the €2 coins. We'll see the pretty designs on them. Look out, mate. There's a moth on your shoulder. Fuck, dude. Oh, please don't remind me of that. When I went to bed last night, I opened the window in this room. I had the curtains open. I had the door shut. Why didn't it fly out? What the fuck? Oh, God. I am actually going to scream like a little girl at some point in this episode if it comes near me. I just want you to know. I'm sorry. I know that dispels the very manly, macho image you all have of me, right? But it's coming. Oh, God. John Sellers. Jeez, dude, what? But you'd already donated $50 here. Holy shit. He says the members shall suffer then, lol. Thank you, man. Oh, my God. His question is this. Are you worried at all that AreaNet will let us inflate Guild Wars 3 in our imagination far beyond what they can deliver, thus letting us down? They need to start giving details about the game, or I fear it will happen. Well, I haven't read it yet, but I assume the communication that we'll be reading today is about that, is it not? Is it not setting expectations? It's a funny thing, isn't it? I am not a sociologist. I'm not in anything, right? So I don't really know. Has anyone done any research into this phenomena? So here's the question. Here's the headline, and here's what we're going to explore in today's essay. Does hype hurt video games? That is a question I don't have an answer to. You know, none of us are strangers, and especially in the MMO space, to people who get really excited about games, play them, and realize they're not as magical and wonderful and all-encompassing as they thought they were going to be. Now, there's many sub-questions to that. Does it matter? If the studio gets its money, does that matter? If a game implodes later, do we blame that on the hype? Or do we blame that on the game's shortcomings? If there's miscommunication, how much damage does that really do? Look at Guild Wars 2 as our case study. Case study number 1, Guild Wars 2. A lot of people misunderstood dynamic events, right? A lot of people, and I would say, all right, a lot of you guys think AreaNet are liars and all that shit. I don't, right? But there is one thing that I think you were genuinely missold on, and I don't mean like little ticky-tacky things like Polymock or Barbara, right? You were genuinely missold on the personal story. Well, were you though? I mean, you bought a game. They never said they were going to do personal story forever. I don't know. The personal story obviously didn't line up long-term how we thought. You know, but does it matter? Does it matter that people didn't really get that? I remember there were critiques. I remember watching gaming podcasts where people would say, oh, it's not what I thought it would be. But can enthusiasm be fostered anyway? Can the game be successful anyway? Like, does hype really do any damage? There's a sneaking suspicion within me that the losers online, like you, like me, okay, those of us who are doing tuning in to daily discussion series about an upcoming MMO, instead of getting on with our lives and finding other hobbies, right? Us, we don't matter much. And we're the ones that go on and on and on about how we were missold. We're the ones that get devastated. But the vast majority, the thick end of the bell curve, they're not us. They're rational, normal, reasonable people. They're watching England versus Croatia right now, instead of this. Which, by the way, I was watching. And I won't spoil how it's going, but it was a good game so far. An interesting game. Let me say that. An interesting game. Well, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say sometimes outrages happen and they don't matter. And I don't know whether that... I don't know the answer to that question. Does hype hurt games? I think sometimes... And, okay, and then here's the other sub-question. How much of that is the responsibility of the studio? How much do we blame... Did I miss a motor race? No, they just haven't lined up yet. How much do you blame the studio, right? AreaNet can say, hey, we're making an MMORPG. Guild Wars 3 is an MMORPG. And I'll, like, start wanking myself silly. Oh, my God, yes. Oh, I loved those when I was younger. Oh, it made me feel so good. And, like, oh, it's going to be just like when I started playing RuneScape. And, oh. And they haven't said anything. They're just sort of looking at me with a vaguely disgusted look on their face. Like, well, we didn't say all that. You've just ran away with it. And then I'm overhyped. And then I become the ultimate hater, you know. It's kind of like how, you know, you get your fanboys and then you get your ultimate hate watchers. And now I'm a hate watcher of Guild Wars 3 and I'm trying to drag Guild Wars 3 down. But they didn't encourage that fanaticism. To what degree did they do that? And by the way, if you watch, again, the best review on YouTube, Rete Reviews Lost. If you watch his Lost review, you can see a lot of these conversations going on there too. Where, like, you know, how much were Carlton Cuse and Damon Lindelof selling the show as a mystery show that would answer all of its mysteries. And this guy lays out all these moments in the communication and the marketing and stuff for that show where they're blatantly encouraging everyone's fanaticism to answer all the questions, and they're constantly saying the questions will be answered. They were giving you collector's editions with, like, what the fuck's it called? Magnifying glasses. And then in the last season, they suddenly U-turned and said, well, we're not going to answer all the questions, and that's on you if you expected it. It was always about the characters. It was always about the emotion. It was always about the drama. And it's like, no, that's them clearly encouraging the fan base to hyperventilate and then screwing them out of it. So, and that does happen with MMOs. Let's try Mystic Forgery. What's the best thing to do here? Scattershot or just stay with the same guy? I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. Right, okay, I'm going to close that poll, guys. Do you want mini X-Packs and quarterlies for Guild Wars 3? 64% of you are saying no. 36 do say yes. 36 of you are happy. And that's actually a much healthier proportion than I thought it would be. So there you go. That's my answer to that. Where were we? Who asked that? What's going on? Oh, yeah. Will they inflate our imagination far beyond? Yeah, I don't know. I will read the post in a minute. That's an amazing. Thank you, John Sellers. Hikoro Bakani with 22 euros. These are not small donations across the board, guys. What the fuck? Look at that. We're up to 500. Oh, that's insane, man. Hikoro Bakani says, heyo, glad to have to fund the wooden PC. Would you be interested in a lore tab for Guild Wars 3 with a bestiary that you fill in playing? Yes, I would be interested in that. You're speaking my love language there. Yeah, I would. I'm playing a Minecraft mod pack at the moment called Integrated Minecraft, and they have this little spy glass where you can scan enemies, and it gives you little bits of lore, and it's very cool. And it was just making me think about a bestiary in Guild Wars all the same. Yeah, that's like one of my... You know, yesterday someone said, what are the 3 things you want? If we were digging down a bit more into it, I think a bestiary would be very high on my list. Yeah, not just a bestiary, but like a codex in general that can give you region lore. And you know how in Guild Wars 1, in Reforged, you have Pike and Square and you can click it and you can get a little bit of detail? That sort of thing is missing in Guild Wars 2. I think it could help people stay on page with the lore and keep the story going in an interesting way. Could be really, really good. Great question. That's exactly what I want, yeah. And finally, we have World's Largest iPod. Thank you very much. With the $20 for the PC. Who says, I know people prefer expansion packs. But I think the current system fits the time and resource constraints ArenaNet faces. So if I had a time machine, I'd have told them in 2012 to make it the standard. P.S. You can bet on all of them. Oh, what? You've just changed the whole game there. Can you? Oh, okay. Oh, someone just told me in in-game guild chat as well at the exact same time. All right, well, that's fine. That makes sense then. That's a bit boring. Shouldn't it just be 1 win or 2 wins per season, but you can only bet on 1? I guess we just won't make any money, any like taffy or whatever out of it. Yeah, was this the right move way back then? I think it's hard for us in the community to say. All we have is what the studios told us, right? We don't work there. We don't know the expenses. We don't know the crunch. We don't know anything, really. So if they tell us that this is the best way to do it in 2022 or whenever they started... Did I just win that? That would be epic if I won that. Then we kind of have to take their word for it. But does that mean that it was the same 10 years before? Was that the right way to go in 2012? My suspicion says no, because they're very different people and, you know, the whole structure was probably very different. Like, what do we know? We know that the team blew up massively in the development of Guild Wars 2. They hired a lot of people, and a lot of the jobs that those people do go away as soon as the MMO's out. That's why it's smart to then look at another MMO, because you've got all this talent and workforce and stuff in place for releasing and building new games, which is not the same stuff that you need to support games. So, I don't know, man. Tough stuff. All I think that matters, and I have to be honest here, what matters the most, to be honest, is us, the consumer. At some point, you know, I believe in empathy for the devs. I believe in having a bit of respect for how hard the job is. You know, I believe we shouldn't insult them. I believe you should be founded with your criticisms, which hopefully I am. So you know, it's nice to be nice and all that shit. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't be in their pocket, right? We shouldn't just blindly be fanatically happy with everything they do. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they say they can or can't do. All that matters is how you feel as a consumer. If you're not happy with mini-X packs, then you're not happy with mini-X packs. It's cold comfort to hear then from ArenaNet, well, this is all we can do. At the end of the day, stop playing the game. Don't cling to it. Don't hate watch it. If you don't like it, then that's not an answer. It's not an answer to you as a consumer for them to say, well, we're trying our best. You can have empathy for that fact, but if it's not good enough, don't just bow out of that conversation because they're telling you they can't do better. You have to advocate for yourself. And definitely don't put down other consumers who are still doing that. Consumers who aren't happy with mini-X packs. You know, they're perfectly within their right to say that. As I said, I was reading some stuff from Roger Ebert the other day. He's a film critic. Died in 2013. 14 maybe? But he had this huge career. He won a Pulitzer Prize in like 71 or something. And you can read all these reviews of that guy watched a lot of films, and it's amazing when he finally has one that he hates, or like to see him reviewing the end of the Twilight Saga or the Human Centipede and shit like that. Anyway, he has a very famous quote about his own work, and that's that your logic can trick you, how you rationalize what you're experiencing can trick you. You can be wrong about A, B, or C. But your emotions never lie to you, all right? So you have to be true to your emotions. If you're watching a film and everything seems on paper like it should be good, it's got the right tone, it's got the right kind of characters, the right actors, it's not too long, you know, it seems to hit everything on paper, but you're just not happy with it. The betting window is closed? No fucking way, they've only just got there. I'm going to wait a second for him to speak. But if your emotions are telling you, I'm not that into this, all right? You can't lie about that, all right? And it's the same thing with mini-X packs. If you're not satisfied by them, then you're not satisfied. And you deserve to try and figure out why. Anyway, not to say that it's a terrible idea for GW3. I think the way that the wind is blowing is what are ArenaNet saying. They're saying, hey, we're going to learn from our lessons in Guild Wars 2, and we've learned that this is how to support a live service game, so that's what we fucking do it. Like it or lump it. Here's the door. There's my middle finger. And they would be within their rights to say that as well, as long as we still get a big community and they earn money. It's Ebert? Ebert? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. It's Ebert. Alright, that's pretty cringy. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, I've never heard his name out loud. I was reading about the end of that guy's life. Like, he had all these surgeries on his jaw and he couldn't speak anymore, but he was still reviewing. And it was like, you know how there's that thing about writing being a window to the soul and all that shit? Man, it's so... He has one of his last communications. He was talking about what it's been like now that he can't speak after he had all these cancer diagnoses. And he died quite young, by the way. I think he was like in his late 60s. And he has this passage where he was talking about how he missed going to dinner with his friends, and it wasn't because he couldn't eat with his friends. It wasn't the dining, it was the chit chat that he missed. And you know, he had friends who would spontaneously like break into poetry, and he would sometimes do that, and that's not something I personally can relate to, but you know. And he says, you know, maybe that's why I've really clung to these reviews and my blogs. You don't know it, readers, but we're at dinner right now. And it's just so beautifully written. That guy had a way with words, which I certainly don't. Let's go on to the next. What do you get? You get to hear me screaming about moths. Trust me, guys. This new media shit, this is where it's at. Right, we're betting on everyone. Tenzai Taffy, Tenzai Taffy, Tenzai Taffy, Tenzai... What a cheat, man. What a cheat. I feel like this is a fact I've been taught every year and immediately forgot. And I'm gonna stick with Logan's Lover. You miss standalone campaigns? I do too. I actually wonder, speaking about lessons learned from the past. I think the football match is ending at the moment. I'm listening carefully to all the cheers and shit. Or boos, as they might be across the street. I wonder if, speaking of learning lessons from the past, they'll say, actually, we're going back to campaigns, baby. Someone had a very interesting comment on the topic of new races, which is something I believe in for MMOs, which is that future stories are in isolated areas of the world, and if you pick the new playable race there, you basically have a completely different story. Completely different. And that way, they are evergreen in terms of reaching new audiences. And this is a principle that Elder Scrolls Online has played with. Elder Scrolls Online, by the way, real quick, big fucking topic. Listen to anyone who's played Elder Scrolls Online right now, by the way. When we talk about Aura as a setting and whether it works with a split timeline or not and all that shit, right? Elder Scrolls Online is a prequel. Hello? Well, that's a fucking... Why haven't we talked about this fact? ESO work? Didn't... Well, I don't know. I don't play it. Teach me about that, guys. I don't know. Did ESO work out? Because, yeah, it's before... But, I mean, that's a long time before Arena, Daggerfall, Oblivion, and then Skyrim has a bit of a time jump. But still, it's way before all of those. But that's an interesting one, I think, for us to look at as we go along. Oh, my God. Okay, so next we've got... Yeah, best area would be great. Thanks very much, Hikoro Bakani. World's largest iPod we had as well with the $20. We're speculating about their time constraints and so on. Wawalms. So, and I guess just to round out that comment, what I want to point out is, like, when all you have is the studio's word about how hard or easy something is, and we don't know how rational what they've said is or how accurate what they said is, not that I think they're, you know, deliberately deceiving people or anything, but you never know. You don't know how things change over the time. Again, these are reasons to just to have a little bit of trust in how you personally feel about it, and try not to get too bogged down in the business model, because as the consumer, that's not supposed to be your worry. But anyway, Wawalms with the $4.99, thank you. Consistent quality development with having the resources they need. It's either servicing the whales or a sub fee. Gotta pay staff during fallow times. And I completely agree with you. I think I'm eternally frustrated by the kind of comments I see on Reddit and in other communities. And to be honest, and like, so Colin's statement the other day, we are not doing a battle pass, we're not doing a sub fee, right? The statement is one thing, but the YouTube comments really annoyed me. The YouTube comments annoyed the piss out of me. There's a certain caliber of person out there that just... The truth is they want something for nothing. That's all it is. And again, I know I just went on about advocating for the consumer, and obviously that's the ultimate prize for any of us, to have an amazing experience that we don't pay a penny for. But you do have to live in the real world at least a little bit, right? They have to have some money. And when you see that, oh, the ratings are going downhill, or oh, we're not getting elite specs anymore, or oh, we're not getting any new weapons, or oh, there's only 4 maps. When you see shit like that, my instinct is to say, right, they need more money. Why don't they have more money? They need a bigger community, has usually been my answer. But there are real conversations to be had there. And it kind of annoys me, this just very shallow, like, oh, fuck yeah, I don't have to pay anything. Based. No battle pass. It's like... It's just, that's the community myopia, you know, that's the community. And it annoys me a little bit there, where people are just sort of like... They just don't want to spend any money, and it's like, yeah, and that's okay if you're going to be a tourist that only plays the game for a few weeks. But if you really love it, if you're really a big, deep fan of it, and you want to be a part of it for a long time, and you want to see Tyria's stories thriving and doing better than ever, and Tyria's buildcraft better than ever, and you know the PvP, if that's what you're still clinging to, it's not enough to just say, oh, good, they're not going to pay, you know, oh, it's okay. Here's how I'm going to try and articulate that point, right? Imagine Colin went onto that video, right, and his statement was this: Guild Wars 3 is only going to cost $10 ever. $10, no microtransactions. Right, now if Colin said that, the comments would be filled with people saying the same thing. Based, amazing, wow, best thing ever. And I think all of us would, you know, I think a lot of reasonable people would sit there and say, what the fuck? They're not going to make any money. This game's not going anywhere. How are you going to pay your devs? Right? And all those people who say that would be getting just crowded out and destroyed and spanked down. And it's like, but those people have a point. And it's a sliding scale. That exact same logic still applies when we're talking about battle passes and when we're talking about all these other things. There is still a conversation to be had. Obviously, it's not... what I've done there is I've exaggerated the topic just to illustrate to you guys that there is something to talk about. Just because we're not quite that severe doesn't mean we're not still out in the waters, you know? We're not up to our neck, but we might be wading around. And it just kind of annoys me seeing that people will just cling to these... It's just that buzzwordy thing, isn't it? There's politics, isn't it? There's politics for you. All right, whatever. Let's move on. So the last donation here is from Dejako Fan. Thank you, guys. That's so many of you. We might have had more donations today than we did yet. No, it's slightly under, but that's insane. Dejako Fan... PC Fund for the PC Fund throne. Thank you, dude. WP, do you have a favorite Discworld novel? Discworld is a series. I've always wanted to read more of Terry Pratchett's stuff. Actually, one of my favorite video series from Mike, who I did the jumping puzzle videos from and occasionally appears in chat, is he did some Let's Plays of some Discworld games. Some Rincewind games, and they're so fun and so amazing, and I wish I'd read more of them, and maybe one day I actually will take the time to. But no, unfortunately, I don't at the moment. Don't people say that one about the witches is very good? Or isn't there a series about the witches? Anyway, oh, and there's another one from Diderus, $4.99. Just joined, so way behind in the stream. Just wanted to support. Since you have a preferred question attached, what's my favorite animal? It's a duck. The ultimate animal. The ultimate animal. It can fly. It can walk. It can swim. Does it want to eat flies in the air? Well, it will fly up and get them. Does it want to eat worms out of the soil? Well, it will walk over and get them. Does it want to eat fish out of the ponds? Well, it will swim down and it will get them. Is it being chased by a saber-toothed tiger? Well, it can fly away. Is it being chased by an orca? Well, it can walk away. Is it being, is it in a dogfight against an American bald eagle? Well, it can land and, I don't know, without it can swim. The duck, the ultimate animal. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what my favorite animal is. I like all animals. Animals are cool. I like all animals except a crocodile that I was staring at the zoo to try and get like a reaction out of a couple of years ago. I sound insane saying that, don't I? And it was like looking at me like, and I was just thinking, man, these animals, they just don't move. They're just so good at conserving energy. Look at this fucking thing. And then it like went like growled at me, and it was really loud and it was very scary. So they're now on the shit list. I don't like alligators or crocodiles, whichever one that was. I can't even remember the zoo that was. It was a good zoo. The UK's got some good zoos. Venny says, should I redraw the penguin as a duck instead? If you want, but I'm much less... I like the penguin thing, to be honest. Right, okay, guys. Comments, and things to show off. First of all, Venny's there in chat. Guys, I have a little thing to show you from Venny. Let's just get this done here. Sorry, that's not a ringing endorsement, is it? It is a ringing endorsement. Now, you guys are all curious about all the arrows on my UI when I was playing a Gale Shot before. You've been curious when I'm a Weaver, seeing the Weaver UI. That is a part of Refect. Refect is an add-on that you can install into Nexus. If you're a modern, dedicated Guild Wars 2 player, you're probably using Nexus. It's the add-on layer, really, that everyone believes in and everyone uses. You can get Refect for it. Refect allows you to customize the UI in lots of fun ways. Venny is an author for that, and he's released a pack. And I'm using his profession pack, basically. He's got lots of fun things. So go learn about that. Go learn about Refect. Here is his latest project. This is mind-blowingly good. Look at how cool this is. Trust me, guys, those of you who are alt-tabbed, you're using this as a podcast, click back on to the footage right now. Hold on. Not for this. But uno momento, por favor. Okay. All right. Look at this shit. Ready? You want to talk about a customizable... Oh, not that. You want to talk about a customizable Guild Wars UI? Guild Wars 2 UI? This guy... This is Venny's current pack. He is playing a Revenant with the Guild Wars 1 combat UI. And he's very cleverly picked Revenant because you get the energy bar where the energy bar used to be. Look at how he's put the weapon swap thing as the old weapon swap UI. He's got the boons and buffs looking like the old boon and buff UI. He's actually changed swiftness to like wind. That's not windborne speed, is it? That's like, so does he have Aegis? What is that? So let's see. So Might is... Oh no, we want to replay that. We don't want to do that just once. We want to replay it over and over and over. Just put that on loop. So Might is clearly the... Isn't that I Will Avenge You or something? I don't know what Guild Wars 1 skills he picked there. For Fury, he's got that Ranger Elite. Predator's Fury, is it called? Fuck. For Resistance, he's put Spellbreaker. It's just brilliant, isn't it? You'll notice that all the other UIs... This is very cool. He's been updating me for the past... How long would you say it's been, Venny? 5 months? 6 months? And you can see his updates in Discord, where he's been rebuilding the Guild Wars 2 UI in Guild Wars 2. And it doesn't look that exciting or interesting, and it looks slightly more janky. I mean, I think he would totally accept that I'm saying that as well, because he's just rebuilding the same thing. But the idea is, once the entire UI is being displayed in Refect, you can customize it any way you like. You can lift the skill bar up. You can get rid of the health orb. You can make the dodge roll meter look like the beta dodge roll meter. You can do anything, making it fully customizable, right? And so, you know, I've been nodding along as he's been doing those updates, and it is exciting and it is cool. I'm really tilted by this footage, the fact he doesn't press Greatsword 5. Oh, there we go. There's clearly a lot of skill lag going on there, isn't there? Is there skill lag? Or is it something about... It's not skill lag. It's something about the way that the buttons press, I guess. Maybe. Anyway, you know, I've been nodding along as he did it, and then he's been showing this off now. And it's like, okay, here's the kind of stuff that they can do. Isn't that amazing? So keep an eye on his project. Check out his GitHub. I'm going to have a quick look in Discord here, because with any luck, he sent me a link to it that I can link to you guys in chat now. He's linked me his deeper thing. I'm just going to send you to his overall GitHub page, which should have all of his projects on it. Yeah, it does. Okay, so guys in the live chat, and remind me if I forget to put this in the description, please. There you go. Go to error try again. Oh, it doesn't want me posting GitHub messages, eh? Oh, yeah, but I'm not. But I'm the creator. I don't have the control to put a link in my own fucking chat. All right, guys, just go to Venny Hedgie on GitHub. You'll see his stuff, and we'll see where this goes. Really exciting, isn't it? Very, very, very cool. And yeah, nothing more to say there really. But wow, this really blew my mind. Beyond that, now we get into the questions. Oh god, sorry, hold on. We have another one. Pablo Pancho with £5. What a good Zaitan fight should include? Maybe some Lupicuses should defend him? No mounts should be allowed, obviously. Wow, that's a fascinating idea, isn't it? To have Loopy defend him. Multiple Loopies defending him? That's... I like the way you think. Look, I will greedily and hungrily do some paper designs for a Zaitan fight. And they'll be amazing, and they'll be really big. And AreaNet, if you're out there, you're never going to be able to hit what I dream of. I remember when they announced the Shatterer rework. I went crazy. I did a big video. Oh, they could do this and do this and this and this. And then it was like so minor in comparison. But they did an amazing tech rework, all right? The tech rework was so good. So I don't know. But I would have a tower phase. I'd have the works, man. And I'll try to be reasonable about the assets and the models. It's time to close the door and donate your questions and get into the blog post. No, it's not. It's not even time to do the blog post yet. Okay, how are we doing? It's been an hour. How has it been an hour just on the papings? I don't understand that. Right, well, here we go. Here's some questions. Is it feasible lore-wise that the memory of all Era Silvari race is tied to their tree, and when it died, so did all of its memory of those other Or Era Silvari? I mean, if an individual Silvari dies, like Traherne, we obviously remember them, but if the pale tree died, potentially everyone forgets they even existed. Well, here's the thing as well. I think another thing on the Silvari topic where people are like, oh, it's so weird that we wouldn't remember them. Why not? Like, there's no sign that all the trees are connected. There's no sign that our Silvari would know about the other trees or would know about a previous Orion tree or some shit like that. Not necessarily. But you did make me think of an interesting idea here. And that interesting idea is... One aspect of this conversation we haven't talked about at all is speculating why the Silvari are gone. I think at one point we glanced past the idea that maybe the gods took them away or something, right? Because remember, we're not saying they died in the Cataclysm. We're saying they're gone for a different reason. Why are they gone? And for that matter, why are the Kodan gone? And why are the Asura gone? Why the Kodan are gone, the devs maybe hinted out with the whole thing. The Polar Kodan can probably tell us. And they said, oh, that's ancient history. Remember, there's that really cool hint from last year. The Asura is a very interesting question. We know that they went underground at some point. Why? We don't even know. Why? If there were Silvari there, why didn't we know about them? Where are they gone? You made me realize there's an interesting story to tell, which is this. I just want to propose this, guys. Their tree dies. It wilts. And that's it. Okay, and the other thing is... maybe it has to be established that they can die of old age at some point. But imagine as soon as... okay, so their tree dies, they no longer have a connection to their dream. It's gone. They're isolated from their own dream. It's banished. And now they're alone, and they're afraid, and their innate connection to other Silvari and the tree is gone. And they're sad, and they're cold, and they too are dying out. Their whole tree. And obviously the tree is where all the pods come from. And it made me realize... that's a really captivating story. And it's kind of the yin to Guild Wars 2's yang, isn't it? Guild Wars 2 is the story of the Silvari stepping into the world and being born from a tree and feeding their dream with all of the aspects of itself. Guild Wars 3 could be the reverse. It's about... okay, so in media res, right? We've started the story and Doom has been deposed. What if we start the story and 50 years ago, their tree died? What if there's a dead tree in Ore? What if this is the story about the Sylvari as a dying race? And they've been scattered to the wind, and this is why there's no memory of them either, because unlike other civilizations and cultures and societies that shrink and shrink and shrink and get bullied out and slowly die, yes, even when it's at the hands of, you know, disease from other continents and stuff, but at the same time, it still takes a long time. Maybe with the Sylvari, it's quite quick, and they're in like a really tragic phase. Now, I don't know whether they would have to be playable necessarily, but that's the kind of stories I like to see in fantasy worlds and in my world building. That aligns them with like Tolkien's elves. Place your bets with Tig. Holy fuck, I've got 8 seconds. Go. Go. I have 10 seconds to volunteer before the map closes. No, what? Oh! So I just wasted all of that. I think that's an interesting idea, just that the tree dies. That's why all the Sylvari are gone. That's what you made me think of with that. I think these are all cool stories. And by the way, guys, there were several encores yesterday. Oh, shit, the new... Okay, let's do it again, I guess. People have placed in their votes. Oh, here we go. There are lots of players in now. There were 2 encores yesterday. Huh? You let me vote once, but that's it. That you guys might have missed. So, sorry. Don't trust those outros. Next, we have Guild Wars 3 Bingo. Another attempt at bingo. Now, I'm... This one is alright. There are a couple of squares that I don't like. One, because I'm insulted. And another, because I just don't think it's... I think you've copy-pasted a couple of squares. Generic bingo squares. So let's go through this. Accidental kink or out-of-context sexual discussion. Alright, that's fair. That sometimes happens. Alright. I do acknowledge that sometimes that happens. I'm not in the mood right now. I am in the mood. I'm so in the mood. Let me vote. Oh, fuck it. Huge lore reading. Yeah, I think that happens. Interrupted by donor. Yeah, that happens. Hobby chat. Yeah, that happens. Big donation, no question. That does happen, and that infuriates me. Movement of the world. That's a good one. That's probably my favorite. Because, look, the thing is, guys, you'll pick... This one's, like, too easy. You're going to get bingo every stream. Movement of the world doesn't come up every stream. That's pretty good. John Sellers doing gift memberships is immediately out of date. There he is. He's saying, fuck the members. Guild Wars Reforged interview coming soon, TM. That's good, but it's also very topical. We're not going to be talking about that soon, because the interview is coming out soon. I finished editing it now, by the way, and it's a really fun video. I'll give you guys a little tidbit about it. There's one question I asked and got an answer to that is not going to be in the video. And it was a cool question, which maybe we'll talk about way down the line. We'll see. But overall, it's very, very good, and I'm so excited for you guys to see that. Debbie, Pay Piggies, Yearning. I mean, you guys talk about the yearning more than me. WP dismisses someone's law interpretation. Yeah, that happens. Okay, this one offends me. WP late to the stream. When? When am I late? I'm late maybe... I mean, maybe this is a really good one, because that's actually rare. That doesn't happen that often. What happens most occasionally is I will schedule it that day for like 8 p.m. But when we get to like 7 p.m., I realize I'm not going to have it there. So we shift it 15 minutes or half an hour or something. But I don't think that's late. I pretty much click the button on the minute every fucking time. So that one insults me. And this one here as well. Changes stream title. I think both of those 2 boxes are just what people use as generic filler for streamers. Because I never change the stream title either. Those 2 basically don't happen. And I know I'm putting myself at risk here now that I am going to be late tomorrow now. And everyone's going to rub it in my face and I'll have to eat humble pie. But yeah, I don't know about those 2. Interrupted by Combat, again, is very good. And then Hello Everyone is very good because I do sometimes do a different intro. So yeah, my review of this Daily Bingo is like a 7 out of 10. I think it's too easy though. He's never late. He just schedules later, an hour later than the previous day. Yeah, no, I don't have a schedule. It doesn't count as late. Yes, my time shifts, but that's not lateness. I've never sat down and said to you guys, I'm going to be here every 7 p.m. That's never happened. Well, okay, years ago for like potato for breakfast. I think our start time was 10 a.m. for that, just to make sure everyone was awake. But yeah, we pick generally somewhere in the evening. That's what we do. Didn't I change yesterday's? Yeah, exactly. Yesterday I was rushing to keep up. So what we did, I was originally scheduling it for like 9, and we shifted it to 9:15. WP, please dismiss someone's lore interpretation so you can get bingo. I think you've already got bingo. All of this has happened except John Sellers' gifts memberships. Well, the late didn't happen, nor did the change. Okay, some of them didn't happen. All right, what we got here? Boom Mike. Broom Mike, who leaves a lot of great questions and is often unafraid to go against the prevailing views and my mindset, which is totally fair, and he always does it in a fairly respectful way. He says, I think it would be a real mistake to have things like World versus World and maybe PvP in Guild Wars 3. The press is trying to suggest that it will be a game existing alongside the other two. If it tries to reproduce every feature of Guild Wars 2, then it really is a replacement. I think you've got a really good point there. And I'm interested to read this philosophy article in a minute to see what they have to say about it. Because, yeah, right? Like, and someone made a very good point in one of the earlier episodes of Guild Wars 3 Daily where they said, isn't the fact that they're doing a World versus World update for Guild Wars 2 kind of a sign that there's not World versus World in Guild Wars 3? I don't think it is necessarily a sign, but it is a sign that, you know... I mean, I think this makes perfect sense. And I actually think that this is kind of the big ticket idea for ArenaNet here. If you come at everyone with the narrative and the game plan that you want to support everything, you're free. You're free to not pursue arena PvP. You're free to not do World versus World. You're free to not do... What else are they free to not do? The same classes, right? There's lots of things they don't have to do because they say, look, Guild Wars 2 is our game for that. We love Guild Wars 2. We're going to continue supporting Guild Wars 2. Yeah, it's a little bit old, but it's not that dated looking, and we're updating the graphics and everything. So, yeah, I think you might be onto something. I think we may see it go away. Oh, there you go. John Sellers just gave some gift memberships. I think people look at you as like the Robin Hood of the community. You know, you steal from the rich, that's you, and you give to the poor. That's all the people who refuse to buy their own memberships. There you go. 5 got sent out. It's a bit rarer now. This is like when they don't mint too many coins in a certain year. Like how there are very few Atlantic salmons from 2023. They only minted like 200,000. The way it works is you don't know how many they've minted until the year's up. So, Paypig, Cash Cat, says Terrafas. We're missing the most obvious one. The ultimate, the one perfect for WP. Potatoes. Alright, a lot of you guys thumbed that up, and I get it. It's genius. It really makes me cringe, though. I'll tell you guys a little secret here. Even the term spud kind of makes me cringe a bit. Well, not anymore. It kind of means something now, because for years and years and years, that's been the community. But this thing where we make our own little names, oh, this is our little cute potato twist on each little thing. I kind of think, oh, God. I will never... unless it is ironic, embrace this term. The only way I'll embrace this term is if you all embrace it just to troll me. But to me, I'm a bit more Squidward-y than I think I'm letting on. Venusian Sickness says, in Guild Wars 3, the gargoyles will not yet have disappeared. Great point. And do you know what that means as well? The mergoyles will not have disappeared. I love the mergoyles. Merman... gargoyles, mergoyles, wow, they were natives of Kryta. You could find them on the beaches. Mergoyles were awesome, and as far as I remember, none of them have appeared in Guild Wars 2. And I miss them. That's just spectating. But this does raise an interesting question, doesn't it? What other aspects of fauna and flora have not been covered by the second game that the third might return to? I'm interested in what they do with oak hearts in the third. And I'm, of course, most interested in all. If ArenaNet adds the tarantula bat. Wow. I want the tarantula bats, ArenaNet. Think about it. Think about exploring the caves beneath ore. And you think it's fine, and then, oh, it's a giant pop-up, and they swarm you. Necknack says, I could get behind there being a limited amount of fast travel. Really helps with the sense of scale. Me too. I want to be clear that I don't believe in a game with no fast travel. Again, I don't really think that that's AreaNet's MO. It's very difficult for me at the moment because there are certain things about games I love that I also know are just not this scene, this community, this game. And I have to hold my tongue on some of those things. This is one of them. You know, when we were talking about Shadow of the Colossus style exploration, yeah, that's amazing and beautiful. And those of us who get it, then they get it. But do we really think that this game is going to do that? I mean, maybe. If joy of movement is one of their core pillars, then that might necessitate some big thinking and some big changes and big ideas. And again, what did I just say? They are free to do different stuff if this is going to be a different experience in a different game. So maybe we're okay to think about stuff like that. What do we got next? Couldn't agree more with the leveling discussion, says Diderus. The most fun I ever had with Guild Wars 2 was around launch. Obviously, a large part is all the shiny new MMO toys, but a huge part of it really was the feeling of the adventure when leveling. Elder Scrolls Online has this problem as well. At launch, you had to do basically all your chosen faction zones and the final Oblivion Realm zone to reach max level. Now, they throw XP, gear, and consumables at you constantly. I have to actively avoid loads of rewards and gear now just to have more than one zone's worth of content before hitting max level. Bring back the grind. I was really interested by this. A lot of you guys, I don't know whether I'm cultivating too much of an echo chamber here, guys, and I really do, in all sincerity, deeply, as much stress as I invite upon myself by saying this. I don't want to do that. So if you guys if you don't agree, you know, get those comments in there, all right? You might tilt me and aggravate me and make me grumpy, but I think it's important to have both sides of the conversation. But I was very surprised. A lot of you guys were very on board with what I was saying. I was actually nervous about what I said yesterday. I want to be clear, right? When I was talking about Maple Story and Perfect World and shit like that, I don't want Guild Wars 3 to be a fucking Korean grinder, all right? If any of you came away with that impression, I don't want you to have that impression. I'm just saying that there is a spectrum, that there's such a thing as going too far, the pendulum swinging too far. And I think that Guild Wars 2 swung too far and threw the baby out with the bathwater. And there are fun things to retain about leveling that I would like to see Guild Wars 3 remember. I'm not saying go crazy ultra grindy or something. I'm really not. I just use those other examples to show that there is some joy inherent to these things, and they're not just there as tutorial systems, and they're not just there to be skipped. And by the way, with the state that Guild Wars 2 is these days, and the state that Elder Scrolls Online is these days, you have to remember, it's a bit like... give another coin example. It's a bit like, you know, minting more coins. It's a bit like inflation, right? It's like... it's not necessarily good. I mean, a little bit of inflation to encourage people to invest rather than hoarding their cash is obviously good. But, you know, sometimes these things are happening not because it's good design. They're not just making it easier to level. They're just doing it to just get people in, because it sounds like the kind of thing that might get people in the door. You know, when they do a new player event, a free-to-play weekend, and you get 50% more XP, log in and claim your free XP booster. With the new player experience, we're reducing XP requirements. With the new player guide, we're reducing it. You know, shit like that. It's not that it's a good idea. It's just they're short-term things being thrown at the community to get more people in the door. And it comes at a cost, you know, maybe not each individual time you do it, but over 15 years aggregate, it does. So yeah, I love leveling in MMOs. I love leveling in RPGs. I want to see more of that. I guess we'll see. John Pogger says, I think, yes, Guild Wars 3 should talk at least a bit about the Elder Dragons, but not Zaitan. I really like the idea that the people of Ore had no idea they were on top of one, and instead make it as the land itself. I picture druids in Ore, meditating, tapping the magic and nature of the land, and misconstruing the slumbering dragon as the land itself being alive. John, I like that. I think that's a cool story, and I think we should be able to have that beat, right? Because I think you can have lots of different people living in Ore, and some of them are educated, and some of them are not educated, and people have different access to different information, especially considering this is a time of Abaddon, the god of secrets, right? But I would argue the reverse. I think that Zaitan is probably the only dragon that should be talked about, and they don't have to talk about it loads, and it doesn't have to be the subject of the game. But, you know, Zaitan is there, and the setting It seems very likely that the gods knew about the dragons. I can't actually remember. Maybe some lorehounds can help me out here. Whether it was confirmed in POF that they definitely knew about the dragons. They did, didn't they? But, you know, you've got Isgarin, and you have the Forgotten, and you have, you know, Dada might be in this story. You know, that the female Masat that's still alive to this day. The ancient races are around, man. The dwarves! Look at the dwarves! The dwarves are, like, in huge communication with the humans and stuff. They have the, you know, what's going on with the whole thing with the Great Dwarf at that point? Anyway, sorry, the Great Destroyer at that point. I think people know, and they're hiding it from the world. And, you know, that idea of secrets of the church and what people really should know is going to be a fundamentally fun part of the setting. And you don't get to tap into that secretive leaders thing unless you talk about Zaitan at least a little bit. So, yeah, I think you're right, and we can have that, but we can also talk about him. The other dragons, not so much. They're further away. By the way, speaking about this idea of, like, the gods holding knowledge away and not necessarily being great, I said in yesterday's episode, can you guys imagine a Sylvari that, like, their tablet equivalent, there's just 3 things they really care about. One of you guys wrote a comment, I never screenshotted it, I'm so sorry, but it was a really cool comment where it was basically 3 rules that are all about them bending over for the gods and being totally subservient to the gods, and I think that's very fun too. And if you had that idea paired with, and their tree just fucking died, and now they're wondering why, and what is their reward for their devotion been, and they're furious about it, and all that kind of stuff. There's some good stories in there. Papa Bungo. Okay, so I called him a genius on the last part. I'm about to do it again. Spoiler. We're about to call Papa Bungo a genius again. He says, yes, I am a genius, and you should always hunt to find my comments because they are the best ones. Well, this guy puts his money where his mouth is. He has another great comment here. Check this out. I hope with AreaNet being open about Guild Wars 3 being much smaller in scale in terms of players versus encounters, that they can fix how bad and boring PvE loot has always been in Guild Wars 2. Because you have potentially 50 or 100 people all getting loot from one boss or event, you can't have the rewards always be valuable drops. The system of all loot basically being garbage that you hoover up to break down and sell, aside from a mega rare 1 in 100,000 like infusions, is one of Guild Wars 2's bugbears. I've lost track of how many friends I tried to get into the game to fight the Shadow Behemoth and say, that was cool, what did that get us? Only for me to say, honestly, not much. And it's usually not long after that that they lose interest and they stop playing. I want bosses who always drop interesting loot, and I want rare drops that aren't so rare as to be miracle drops. I want a loot system that's more than just fuel to be fed to the trade post en masse with almost no consideration. Ah, bravissimo! Excelente! It's so good, isn't it? He's right! Yes, this is a big story. I have always viewed Guild Wars 2's reward. Guild Wars 2 to me is like a screaming, energetic, ADHD, you know, addled child buzzing in his chair, bouncing off the walls like a tennis ball, rolling all over the place, desperately searching. Every expansion, every Living World release, every gem store release. What do I do to give them to reward them? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? How do we reward people? How do we reward people? Do I give you this? Do I give you this? Do I ask you to do this? This? And it's fucking crazy. They have never found their feet with how to just make people have fun with drops. They have never made me feel as excited as Guild Wars 2 made me feel. Guild Wars 1 made me feel getting a black die drop. Just something as simple as that. Or farming for a green and getting it to drop. And I don't know whether that's because I was in a different place in my life or because it's a different type of RPG. Yes, we had precursors for a while, but this is a real story. Worthy of its own video. And maybe going to a smaller scale fixes that. I can tell you something, guys. You can go to... There's this genius on YouTube, right? His name's WoodenPotatoes. He did this video where he taught me how to clean my inventory. And it's like this incredible video. You've never seen anything like it, right? It's like an hour and 20 minutes long, teaching you how to deep clean your inventory, teaching you all about the different boxes and bags, and how to deposit, and how to open, and how to type cons up here, and to, you know, go use all. The guy's a genius, right? But I have to say, when I look at that video, right, and I say, That's a long video. A lot of people aren't going to watch that. That's a lot of mouse movement. That's a lot of micro. That's typing at the keyboard. None of that shit translates to controller. None of those are experiences that people want to go through. That is not a video anyone wants to watch. And as much of a genius as that man is, I think it's a sad indictment on the game that he ever had to make it. And I just don't believe in that for Guild Wars 3. All this shit, all the box in a box in a box into unidentified gear. This is the result of putting that kid in charge, that tennis ball bouncing around the room for 15 years. This is what has been output from that. And AreaNet have to know that. Their designers have to see that. And they will be taking action to rein that in. I think going to a smaller scale in terms of number of players is a big solution to that. So yeah, we'll see. All right, next, what we got? RPG Crash. It's good to see comments from him. I was thinking on the idea of the new game taking place only in Ore and maybe it being a bit boring in terms of diversity of biomes and such. But I don't think just taking place in Ore would be make that much of a worry. Nightfall took place in Alona, which, yes, is bigger than Ore, but the majority of his content was in arid or desert settings. A biome, I see a lot of people say, aren't fans of in video games. But Nightfall was incredibly varied in just doing desert environments. It didn't feel like it grew stale when I got to Vabi or the Destination. Yeah, you're totally right. I completely agree. I think you can sustain a whole game just on that classic fantasy, Fable-esque Green Hill landscape, and then for the other expansions do other biomes. I think it lets them really dig into all the flora and fauna of that world and that stuff, and then when they pick an Arctic environment next time, then they can really focus on mountains and stuff. It allows their artists to be laser focused. It will probably give us a higher standard of environment art and maps, and perhaps a little bit less diverse, but I don't care. Like, look at Ark Survival Evolved. We got any Ark fans? You know, you can play Scorched Earth and for hundreds of hours, and that's all. That's just relishing in being in a deserty environment. That's fun. So what is this need to have all the biomes already covered in the base game? You don't need to do that. Fuck that. Yeah, just have the green one at the start and then go for others later, you know? When I play Aberration, I'm just underground the whole time, but look at all the different exciting environments and magical caves and that's the other thing, right, guys? A good lighting engine goes a long way. You can create a lot of different visuals and a lot of different exciting places to travel to with far fewer assets as long as the lighting is good. For example, Enshrouded I played last year. What do we got next? Bowtie Neo 8. Do you think there'll be a Colossus in Guild Wars 3? I've always thought the Cliffside Fractal was really cool. Yeah, I just wanted to showcase this. Bowtie 8, yeah, you're not the first person to mention this. I wish I had mentioned it before 10 days of Guild Wars 3 Daily. Yeah, the Colossus. Another outstanding mystery. No reason not to believe it couldn't be covered. Very exciting. Over in Discord, I had this from Stonebolt King. This might be a big nothing burger, but it occurred to me while listening to the intro to the stream today. The End of Dragons trailer was Su Wan speaking to Kunavang. That's correct. And we got a lot of fun speculation out of that. Who's the speaker of the Guild Wars 3 trailer voiceover? New character? We don't know yet. General God voice narrator? One of the gods? Dwayne Alyssa? I was wondering this. I don't know if I ended up saying it out loud in my original trailer reaction. It's a great question, isn't it? I can't tell yet. I don't know whether we need to listen. I know that she's given a great line. Ready?
If you yearn for horizons unexplored, for fellowship and purpose, for a cause worth dying for, to you, we can promise magic.
Do you know what that says to me? It says British accents, which I have a completely inobjective, bullshit, patriotic, nationalistic love for at the moment. But I've got to be honest, and I don't mean to be insulting, right? And I have a great respect for the people working on the product and stuff. I'm bored of American accents, man. I'm bored of them, and I don't get into them that much. And it's been a big thing, like, for me that sort of, and it's totally an objective, right? This isn't a real criticism. This isn't something anyone else needs to listen to. But when I watched like the Fable gameplay trailer that came out the other day, and it feels quintessentially UK and stuff, it's like, you know, it's just that little bit of representation for me, I guess. That's my fun moment with my tribe. And it's just fun. I don't know. It just feels like it fits fantasy settings well. Or maybe that's wrong of me. But I love that lady's voice. I want to get to know her. Who is she? Is she really going to be a character? But is she really? I don't know. Maybe not. I just like that it's a British voice. And I like that she talks about yearning. If you yearn. Yeah, and could that be Dwayna's voice? That's a really, really fun idea. Andreas says, have you noticed that the stand-in for the player in Guild Wars 3 trailer is the memorable human design for the pack commander, Duncan, who went through a lot of different difficult events? This might not be a random choice. It might be a hint that Visions of Eternity will give us a transition in the form of timelines, time travel, dimensions. This is really out there. Here we go. This is for your bingo card, guys. I didn't think that was Duncan. How can you tell it's Duncan? We don't really see his face. Also, it's not always the same guy, is it? In the trailers and in the Guild Wars 2 trailers, didn't they change it as time went along? Didn't it change? The idea, I have to say, Andreas, the idea that the player character in Guild Wars 3 is the commander from Guild Wars 2, that is fucking out there. That is one of the most bonkers big out there like ideas that I've read, that I think I would ever read. We're about to do 18 months of this shit, and I think you've already given up. That's crazy. Yeah, it did change. Yeah, okay, I'm not crazy. It totally changed. I don't know. You were expecting a Realm Reborn style thing where we take our character from one to the other? So then also an interesting comment from Cottage, guys. Just to round out now here finally. An interesting comment from Cottage on Giganticus Lupicus. No, you guys might have forgotten. Should we go there? Should we take advantage of actually playing the game? I'm going to have to do my best here. In Secret of the Obscure, which was a fantastic expansion. Oh, I'm not going to be able to find it. In Amnitas, you could find the skull of a Lupicus. You could actually find a skull. And it gave you a bit of lore. And now that we know they were probably setting up Guild Wars 3 with a bunch of this shit, all of this stuff's suddenly so interesting. And Cottage brought us this. This is like the Cottage Corner moment. I like this, where he gives us a cool thing to chew on. So I went to the wiki and I just screenshotted it. This is what it says underneath the skull, the Lupicus skull that the Wizard's Court had stolen away. This skull was retrieved from Ara following Zaitan's defeat in 1362 after the Exodus. So after the personal story ended and the Derman Priory got Zaitan's tail, this skull was retrieved. It is believed to have belonged to a remnant of their species, the Giganticus Lupicus is the title of this thing, who dwelled in the city shortly after its founding. It is unclear how they survived. Magical stasis is one of several possibilities. Zaitan called this individual's risen corpse from a hidden burial site that contained a collection of personal effects and grave relics. Preparations have been made to return the bones and artifacts to Ara after they have been catalogued and confirmed safe for reburial. So we read this in Secret of the Obscure. Do you guys see that there's about fucking 6 interesting things in there to talk about? First of all, that last sentence, preparations have been made to return the bones and artifacts. We might see the Astral Ward actually doing that in the new map in 6 to 9 months in Guild Wars 2. We might see them bringing it there and talking about this, right? Because it's been 3 years. They could totally do that. Zaitan called its corpse from a hidden burial site. So there are multiple bodies in this burial site of potentially lots of Lupies? Where is that burial site? It's not necessarily at the heart of the city where we saw it in the explorable mode. That's an interesting location we might be able to go to in Guild Wars 3. And who else is buried there? What else is buried there? What relics are there? That could be... Yeah, listen. When I read shit like this, right, this is a place in Ara, I get very excited. Why do I get excited? Because it reminds me of the run into Guild Wars 2, when shit like this was going on, right? When you read about the Dermond Priory having a chapter house at Divinity's Reach, yeah? And what did AreaNet do? They made a really cool little... Do you guys... Please, let's not forget how fucking hard they worked on Guild Wars 2 and these environments. And then their designers decided not to utilize them in any interesting ways, and we move on and stuff. But still, the work they put in... Look at this. I remember seeing this and being like, oh, yeah, this is so cool. I want to speak to these guys. I got all these pickups and stuff. This was really exciting. When you hear about the, the little aquarium... and the high roads. And the incredible clockwork mechanisms here. And the chapel that I showed you before. And the map that's up here. I'm in that headspace right now where I'm thinking Guild Wars 3 could be hitting all these cool places that are a part of Ara. And we're going to get this. We're going to get shit like this. Because they're good, guys. They're really good environment designers. They have really good artists. And they made amazing cities at launch Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 3 might only have one city, and that could mean that all the efforts and all the energy that went into all the fun, fucking amazing and interesting points, all in a single city. Ara is gonna be amazing. Built on Unreal? Oh. So yeah, when I hear about like a burial site and stuff, I'm like, that could be cool to go adventure there. But then, of course, we have the big ticket items. Okay, so... The Giganticus Lupicus dwelled in the city shortly after its founding. And when is Guild Wars 3 set? Do we consider that to be shortly after its founding? I think close enough. Now, are they a subspecies of Lupicus? Are there loads of... I mean, because the Lupicus are supposed to be this franchise's dinosaurs. They're supposed to be big. I want to see big monsters as well with Guild Wars 3. If they're going to do Lupicus during this period, I want to see Guild Wars at the time of real dinosaurs. I'm not talking about like the Eye of the North style dinosaurs and shit. I'm talking real fucking dinos. I want to see a game engine that is capable that is capable of rendering and pathing, having walk around without it look janky. Really big things. You know, like those early No Man's Sky trailers, to borrow another game, where you see the huge aliens wandering around, and it's like, look at these things. You know, playing Horizon, where you've got the absolutely massive tall necks? Wouldn't that be cool? To have, like, actual fucking giant, towering skyscraper-type monsters roaming like tall necks throughout the city. If you don't know what I'm talking about, tall necks, go to YouTube right now and look up, like, Horizon Zero Dawn tall necks or something. The people who've played it will know. Shit like that. Oh, that would be cool. And maybe you don't have to get into combat with them, but just having them as like these peaceful meanderers or wanderers or something. Stuff that Guild Wars 2 couldn't do, but Guild Wars 3 can. Okay, and the final comment right here is from Amaranda. This isn't a comment. This is a bit of lore. There's one final thing on the Sylvari that I feel like a twat for not having talked about. We read those instances about Malik and, is he from another tree? We didn't do the really interesting one, which is Amaranda the Lonesome, and when you actually speak to her and she plunges into the mist to figure out what's going on. And here is the important quote, right? A distant shore. So when people were talking to me about a distant shore the other day, I thought they were talking about the Path to Revelations quest from GW1, and I said, oh, I'm not too interested in it. No, they were talking about this. A distant shore, which you might also think is relating to the Path of Revelations as well, by the way. That might have been a knowing nod. Anyway, a distant shore and darkness. So wherever this other pale tree was that she's seeing that Malik might be from is not just up the river necessarily. It could be far away, unless we consider that to be the riverbank, the shore. Anyway, and darkness, a root. And the darkness comment is kind of interesting about the idea that it was always supposed to have been corrupted and fallen. A root, a cave. You. You are the seed. What Ronan knew and never told still lingers in the dream. And Malik said, what does that mean? And Trone says, it means my fears are well founded. You weren't from the pale tree, Malik. We can't see your dream. You can't see ours. I must return to the grove and speak to the pale tree. But there's that line in there of, what did Ronan know? Huh? Because, like, the story as we knew it until this point is that he just collected some seeds. Like, he's on the run from the White Mantle or something, I think, and he collects some seeds. I can't remember how they say. But no, there's an idea that, did he meet someone there? Did an avatar of Melandru say, hey, dude? Did a Forgotten say something to him? Did he meet Vars? Was Vars in there? And said, hey, these are purified seas? What did Ronan know? Or you can be much more hands-off with this and just say, maybe Ronan just knew that there were no... maybe Ronan knew that there were other trees. Sorry, I just got crazy distracted because I just saw we had another fucking massive donation there. There you go. That's all the questions for today. Right, North Stars 0422. Hey WP, thank you North Stars. $100. $100, guys. We're going. So we've got we've £600 already. Man, thank you very much. Hey WP, it's been a minute since I was able to catch a stream live because of work, but I watched the VODs. Oh, my thing crashed. That's okay. I can still read it anyway. But I watch the VODs when I can. I'm a long-time watcher of your content, having discovered you around Your Living World Season 3. Oh, that's an interesting era to have found me. That's cool. Thank you, dude. Excited to be here for the hype of the new game. Hell yeah, man. It's good, isn't it? The whole thing just feels a lot better. All right. That's insane. Thank you, dude. I wish you'd asked me a question there so that I could have dived into that a little bit more. I really appreciate your appreciation there. And, yeah. We've been waiting 15 years since the live chat for them to do something with the other pale trees. Let's hope Guild Wars 3 is the answer. Yeah, and again, I just want to say again, it doesn't mean we have to play them. You don't have to be playable Sylvari for them to be a part of the setting, to be an interesting part of the setting, and then naturally, after a couple of years, people are going to want them to be playable after they release, you know, the char or whatever. John Sellers found an adversary. Yeah, you guys have been so generous. My God. Okay, is he planning to read the blog post today? He says, have it tied. I am. I know that it's an hour and 40 minutes, and I'm a bit tired, and I'm a bit nervous because my intent is to make a video out of this, but I'm going to do it. Because we can't... It will be too old. It'll be old news. It's yesterday's newspaper if I don't do it today. And I want to read it. I want to know what it says. So that's what we're going to do next, guys. This is the third and final section of today's Guild Wars 3 Daily. I hope you've been enjoying yourselves. Speaking of waiting, 100-minute intro. More than that if you include yesterday's episode. So let me just check real quick here. Yeah, there it is. Our Guild Wars philosophy. So I'm just going to boot it up. And we'll see what we got. That means you guys get to see the intro again. Oh, but I'm going to have to set up the right one, so it's going to be a little bit awkward. Let me write down the timestamp of where we are here as well. Well, let me fix this first.
You yearn for horizons unexplored.
Actually, we don't even have to do the yearning thing. I'll just do a regular WoodenPotatoes intro. That's probably the right thing to do. Okay, so timestamp right now is 1 hour, 42 minutes and 50 seconds. So I'm just going to write 1 hour, 43 minutes. Okay, see you guys on the other side. Hello everybody and welcome to another video. So if you're out of the loop at the moment, I'm doing daily Guild Wars 3 coverage. A show called Guild Wars 3 Daily. It's like a video podcast playlist. We're on the 10th episode already. As I'm in the process of making these, obviously different news is coming out. Yesterday on the main website, the Guild Wars 3 website, not AreaNet.com, not the Guild Wars 2 website. They've got their own thing now, and you've got to keep a close eye on that, because if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter or something, you might miss it. They did a post talking about their overall philosophy with the game. Now, because it was yesterday, I've seen a few like headlines flying by on Reddit of people that didn't seem too happy with this. My suspicion is that they're going to talk to us about the shrinking of the scope of the game, which can mean lots of different things. It can mean less players being around. It can mean focusing on less different game types, like we're going to cut PvP and World versus World. We view those as elements of Guild Wars 2, not 3. It can talk about how much playtime they expect from you each time you log in. It could be talking about complexity of executing your skills and buildcraft and stuff. It could be talking about a lot of different things. And so they've kind of communicated that the scope will be in a bit, but in what way, I don't know. And hopefully this article will go into those things. So I'm going to read it blind here for the first time, and I'll give you guys my original take, and we'll just see what they have to say. So here it is. Here's the website. Our Guild Wars philosophy. June 16th, 2026, Solving Player Problems, a deep dive into how we build games at ArenaNet. So they've talked about this a lot lately, how their studio works. They look at things that people don't like, and they try to find solutions. And that's how they felt that they operated making Guild Wars 1, which is why it was so different to World of Warcraft and all the other grindy MMOs of its day. That's what they did with Guild Wars 2. That's how they ended up pioneering dynamic events and stuff. Yes, I know Rift came out slightly before and had a similar sort of system. And, you know, they looked at the fact that everything was very static in MMOs, and they were trying to make it more dynamic, such as through the personal story and stuff. So what are the big problems that they see now in the modern age? They haven't really told us yet. They've basically told us smaller scope, freedom of movement. Those are the two kind of big talking points. So let's see. Hello, Guild Wars community. I like that. It's not the Guild Wars 3 community. It's just Guild Wars everyone. Because they're really trying to speak to us all. The GW1ers, the GW2ers, and the mega nerds that are fans of all three. Which I totally am not one of. Today's Guild Wars 3 update is a big one. Oh, okay. As I'm going to be talking about the core philosophy that defines the way we make games. So grab a cup of your favorite drink, sit back or lean forward, yeah? Assume the shrimp gamer pose, guys, and relax. It's reading time. Okay, I have to do this. I have to scroll to see how much we're in for. Oh, that seems about regular length, but okay. When we set out to build Guild Wars 3, we didn't start by asking what a sequel should look like. We started with something more fundamental, the core philosophy that defines how we have built games at ArenaNet over the last 21 years. Our philosophy is relatively simple. When we make a new game, we take an inventory of the genre at the time, the good and the bad. Then we identify player problems, frustrations, limitations, and we ask, how could we solve them? And look, they're going to have a lot of data on this over the years of Guild Wars 2's support and seeing what people loved about Guild Wars 1. And this will cover everything. This will cover from fluidity of combat, complexity of like buildcraft, microtransactions, all that stuff. Release pace and cadence. Now, I have noticed I'm a bit disappointed in this. There's still no new art. Couldn't we get one new piece of concept art each thing? This is a clip from the trailer. With, yeah, all pale tree guys, question mark. I love the people with that theory. And this we've already seen. That's a shame. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the 4 core elements players have come to know and love about Guild Wars games that arose from this approach to game development. These are the expectations we know players have of any Guild Wars game as a result of the innovations we've delivered on over the years. And I want to share how we're applying these expectations to Guild Wars 3. Okay, so they're big 4 core pillars. What does it mean to be Guild Wars? Like, okay, they can be experimental and they can make art, but what are we all in this boat for? Are we really here just because they don't charge a subscription fee and it's the fallacy of sunk costs, or are we actually looking for things that we love about this franchise? So what has ArenaNet identified? First of all, no subscription fees. From the beginning, one of the defining ideas behind Guild Wars was simple. Players should be able to buy the game and play it on their own terms. When Guild Wars launched in 2005, that wasn't the norm. Subscription fees were a core part of the MMO model. Choosing not to have one wasn't just a pricing decision, it was a statement about accessibility and long-term value. We carried that forward into Guild Wars 2, and it remains just as important today. Guild Wars 3 will be a buy-to-play game at release. There will be no subscription fee. So if you got the video the other day, we sort of already discussed this, but That model matters because it puts players in control. Our goal is for players to feel like their time in the game is something they choose, not something they owe. Want to take a break and go play other games? Great, go for it. We recommend trying out Reforged and Guild Wars 2. We hear they're awesome. Ready to come back when the next Guild Wars 3 expansion comes out? Wonderful, we'll be here waiting for you. But just saying there won't be a subscription fee isn't enough anymore. We've been looking carefully at the newest round of modern MMOs and the broad array of live service games that often look suspiciously like MMOs, and seeing how subscription-like systems have evolved. In many newer games, the subscription hasn't disappeared, it's been reshaped. Paid battle passes, paid recurring seasonal tracks, and similar paid systems often function as a new kind of ongoing fee. That model works for some games, but it's not aligned with how we think about player freedom in a Guild Wars game. It's a form of subscription fee, hidden inside a neat optional package that obfuscates the subscription from the player. When we say Guild Wars 3 won't have a subscription fee, we mean it. No monthly fees and no Battle Pass subscription fees. Just buy the game and play when you want. If we earn your trust and you feel we're delivering experiences you love, we'll have expansions and other things you can buy from us if you think they're worth your investment. Okay, this is all very cool, but there's still a lot of player problems to discuss with the business model. If you're not doing that, you're paying for it in other ways. You're paying for it via microtransactions, and we all have a lot of problems with microtransactions. Skins that look too flashy are offensive to some, even if it is only horizontal progression. The ability to buy gold in-game just with your credit card, kind of, you know, shortcutting the grind that other people are putting themselves through and making the grind feel a bit invalid and boring. These are big topics. Pay for convenience is a big topic as well, but like bag space and having to spend gems to get new bags. Are AreaNet actually talking about that? They do say no pay to win, but that is not the same as no pay to skip. Let's see. Speaking of other things you can buy from us, this one's pretty simple, and the statement we made before the release of Guild Wars 2 about our philosophy in this area remains true to this day. We think players should have the opportunity to spend money on items that provide visual distinction and offer more ways to express themselves. They should also be able to spend money on account services. There we go. This is where we get into it a bit. And on time-saving convenience items paid to skip. But it's never okay in a Guild Wars game for players who spend money to have an unfair advantage over players who spend time. There are big, long, rigorous discussions we can have about this. Like, who's to say that pay to skip isn't also unfair? Or ludicrously flashy cosmetics that feel more meaningful than legendaries isn't unfair. Just because one person's from a more prominent socioeconomic background and has more money to burn than someone else. These are not player problems that I see they're actually addressing with this. But what I will say is this is all pretty much what I think we should expect from them. This is what they cared ardently about with Guild Wars 2, and they did stick with it with Guild Wars 2. I think AreaNet have had a lot of unfair criticism over the year from people who have said that they are pay to win or they are too unfair about this, that, or the other thing. One of the reasons I do trust and I do like this company is because they have been very strict about their business model and their ideas for MTX for so many years. Now, we might not like exactly what they've landed on, right? And I certainly don't like exactly what they landed on. But I do think that I have very high trust that they would stick and continue with this. That's, you know, and the grass is not greener, guys. Look at the genre you're in. Look at what MMOs have and do. Particularly if you leave the West. So what else have they got? Respecting your time and investment. Respecting players' time has always been a core part of Guild Wars, and that's more important today than ever. Of course, Guild Wars 1 didn't have the grind and the gear treadmill, and it only had 20 levels, and Guild Wars 2 went with a flat leveling curve, even though it had more levels, and they kind of messed up with exotic gear, but when they put Ascended in, that was it. One of the most common perceptions about MMO genre is the games require massive time investments to play. Require massive time investments to play. I don't actually think that's true. Well, the question here is, do they require massive time investments to have fun? And the point with Guild Wars 2 was the answer was no. That you were getting the full diversity of experiences in the open world. You could fight something like the Shadow Behemoth immediately in Queensdale. You didn't have to grind to max level. I wonder if they're still thinking along these terms. Historically, MMO engagement has been viewed as an experience like a second job, where players spend large amounts of time preparing to have fun before they can actually engage in the fun parts. Only have 30 minutes to play? Don't play an MMO. You'll need that time to just organize your inventory, find out what content you're going to play, get your character set up, and oh no, time's up, and you haven't even begun the gameplay yet. This is quite interesting. I was just talking on the... So I've got an expanded Guild Wars 3 daily version of this video. I was just talking on that about how organizing your inventory has to change for Guild Wars 3, especially if it's on console and with controller. You don't get to have a mouse to you know, point at a lot of small inventory grids. You're sitting further away, you're looking at TV. You don't have a keyboard to type search filters in. So there are some places that Guild Wars 2 definitely succeeded at this, like being able to fight the Shadow Behemoth, like fighting a massive monster even in the tutorial. But there are other places, especially over the year, inventory management's a great one where they failed. And I guess Guild Wars 3 is looking at these. Players today have more choices than ever, and so many modern game experiences allow players to quickly and meaningfully get a return on their time investment in the game without significant barriers or preparing to have fun. I wonder what this means. What do they... See, another direction Guild Wars 2's gone in is buildcraft. They've sort of muted and they've de-emphasized item nomenclature and the idea of having to get lots of different stat sets and stuff, and it's all because of this. I'm thinking Guild Wars 3 won't have that, guys. I don't think you're going to get loads of Knights and Sinister and Viper and all these gear sets because they just look them as barriers to getting in and being able to play content. It might be more minimal. They might leave it just at skill bar customization, and that's that. Maybe a little bit of something new, much closer to Guild Wars 1 than 2. This has always been important to AreaNet in the Guild Wars franchise, but we're continuing to evolve this philosophy for the modern era of game development and asking how a genre that is dominated by 10 to 20-year-old games modernizes this space. When you want to feel good about the time you invest, whether you're playing every day, only have an hour or two every week, or are coming back after a long break from the game. For existing fans, we've already announced that there will be a new Hall of Monuments that connects your account to Guild Wars 3 and provides awards as a way of saying thank you. We'll talk in more detail. Oh, the problem I have with this post, I have to be a bit of a Debbie here, is they're not substantiating what they're talking about. Surely this is the time where you say, for example, there's going to be huge amounts of fast travel in this game. For example, the login process is really quick. For example, you can matchmake immediately at launch from a very prominent UI. The matchmaker in Guild Wars 3 is far better than the Guild Wars 2 matchmaker. In fact, we've used the Guild Wars 2 matchmaker to teach us about it. You know, substantiate it. They're just sort of telling us... I mean, here this is substantiated. No subscription fees. And finally, Pillar 4 is this: innovating and evolving the MMORPG genre. One of the most important parts of our philosophy, and one that sometimes surprises people, is that we don't aim to make direct sequels. Guild Wars 1 and 2 are very different games, and that was intentional. Though they take place in the same world, each was built to push against the conventions of its time, solve player problems relevant for that era of games, and explore new ideas in the MMO space. The MMO landscape today isn't the same as it was during the development of Guild Wars 1 or 2. Player expectations have changed. Technology has evolved. The ways people engage with online worlds are broader and more varied. The lines between an MMO and a live service game have blurred. The amount of time players have to dedicate to... Yeah, what they're talking about here, guys, is they're using the genre designation MMO right now, and that means something to us as millennials and zillennials. But the more you move into younger Gen Z and Gen Alpha, it loses meaning, okay? A lot of what MMOs exclusively offered and we thought of as a part of MMOs, you can now get in games like Minecraft and Ark Survival Evolved, and you know, there's so many other ways in which you can get that massively multiplayer online experience. The amount of times players have to dedicate to a single game has decreased as their library of games has continued to grow. If we approach Guild Wars 3 by simply extending what we've already done, we'd miss the opportunity to move the genre forward. A genre that we've heard so many of you say desperately needs innovation and evolution. So instead of just making a sequel, we're asking the same question we always do. What does the next evolution of an MMO look like? But more importantly, how do you evolve it to answer these questions, but still be true to an MMO? You know, if they come out with a Deep Rock Galactic style game, right? Or a Monster Hunter style game where you've got a hub and you spin off into certain things, can we still justifiably call it an MMO? There's a reason that people make that style of game in the modern era, and that style of game is successful in the modern era, but there's also a reason they're not calling them MMOs. So ArenaNet are trying to straddle the line. In what way? Answering that question means Guild Wars 3 will be its own kind of game. Distinct from both Reforged and Guild Wars 2 and anything else? Question mark? Are we getting back into, you know, Guild Wars 1 territory where they even had their own term for it, CORPG for a while? Our two existing games fall on the two furthest ends of the spectrum. Reforged is at its core a game about a small team, a player and their assembled team of henchmen or hero NPCs or other players they want to bring along with them, overcoming challenges in a predominantly instanced game. Unless you've invited them along, you never saw other players except in the game's social hubs. When we released Guild Wars, we branded the game as a CORPG. This is amazing. They talk about all this stuff seconds after I should just read it first. Someone is screaming at the screen. However, the branding never stuck, and everyone informed us we'd release an MMO. We even won multiple MMO of the Year awards. We gave up on the CORPG angle since it didn't stick with players, and we simply embraced what everyone told us. We'd shipped a unique kind of MMO. Guild Wars 2 is the opposite. At its core, it's a game about giant scale experiences in an expansive open world setting. This is a nice way to draw a line to draw between them. It's not totally the opposite, because the truth is they were very invested and excited and interested in dungeons. They just looked at it as another part of the overall thing. And they would still say that of raids and strikes. Giant world bosses, map-wide meta events, PvP on a massive scale are what it's most known for. Although the game offers a wide variety of different experiences, unlike other large-scale MMO worlds, there are no servers or worlds that you join that restrict the players you meet within that not giant setting. Instead, the game is organized into maps using the mega server system, and players are able to play with anyone who chooses the same region of the real world that they play the game from. Guild Wars 3 lands near the middle. Interesting. What does that mean? I think what that means is small party sizes in a large open world. Probably. Which supports the goals we have for movement and combat. While it fits the definition of an MMO significantly more than Reforged does, it doesn't try to replicate the large-scale gameplay pillars that so uniquely define Guild Wars 2. This ensures that all three of our games can coexist as different experiences on different timelines, telling different stories about the world of Zero. I really feel like big, immersive, quiet world where you happen upon a few people. Like Journey, right? Has anyone played Journey? That's the vibe I'm getting here. I'm convinced that they're shrinking down on the big Zerg stuff because the game engine won't be able to handle it because it doesn't provide good experiences really after the spectacle of the first few times you do it. I don't know. What does this say to you guys, though? Because I know a lot of you guys love your world boss trains, and especially the new players love those things. I realize this is intentionally broad and vague, and you all want to know a lot more about the specifics of what this means right now, but we've got a long campaign ahead of us between now and the launch of Guild Wars 3. There's plenty of time. We'll discuss the specifics in much greater detail in the future as we share more information on the various game systems, content systems, and concepts that make up Guild Wars 3. Looking ahead, as we continue development, these pillars are our foundation. They shape not just individual features, but the overall direction of the game. You'll see us come back to them often in the future when we discuss the game in more detail. And as always, player feedback will be a big part of that process. We only know we've solved player problems when you tell us that our solutions are working. Guild Wars has been a conversation between developers and the community. That doesn't change with Guild Wars 3. We invite you to join it on our Discord and so on. The conversation has just begun from the game director, Colin Johansson. Wow. Okay, so there's not too much in this post. This post is setting the stage, making sure that everyone, not just the Giga Nerds, gets where they're coming at it. I think that they've also done something quite clever. They're trying to immediately rein in people's expectations here. And I have to know, so what's everyone's take on this? Please drop your comments down below on whether you're excited still about an MMO that might not have the big Zergs. That's what it sounds to me like that's what it's getting at. And the other big thing, of course, is world versus world. Now, world versus world is there in Guild Wars 2. It is still being supported in Guild Wars 2. There is a huge initiative coming in the next year to add a new Borderlands. Guild Wars 2 is not dying. Does that mean that they're free to not do it in Guild Wars 3? Sounds like that one might be cut. And my guess is, my suspicion right now, this might be fun to look back on in the future, but my suspicion is that competitive PvP might be cut as well. I guess we'll see. I really thought they were going to say for a second there that it was going to be hub-based. But no, I don't think it's hub-based. I think it is an actual real open world, and that's how they justify MMO. I just think we're going to have less people around. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if the systems in the game encourage you to socialize and collaborate and actually have fun with other people. What I don't like is in modern Guild Wars 2 content. You remember when like End of Dragons came out and all the maps felt dead and quiet because the mega server system was spinning up way too many servers and you didn't even see many people around? That kind of sucked. I hope the Guild Wars 3 won't fall into that trap. But, you know, for a long time, just in terms of Zergs are concerned, you know, they're just light shows that you can't see what's going on. They drag down your frame rate. You can't feel your impact in the Zerg. When it's hard, you feel like everyone else is a liability. They don't ever really do good gameplay mechanics there. Or it gets toxic in the open world, which I'm sure AreaNet still don't want. It's kind of funny, actually. One of their main pillars, I thought, would be frictionless gameplay when it's cooperative. But they've actually not put that as a pillar, which I actually kind of like, because it might mean that they're a little bit more interested in friction between players in a way that the engagements we have are meaningful. Guild Wars 2 tends to feel like we're playing alone together. Everything's so frictionless. You never need to speak to anyone or acknowledge they're doing anything. But actually having a reaction to someone, the cooperative aspect actually meaning something, is something early MMOs understood, and I think ArenaNet didn't really understand with Guild Wars 2. And the fact they didn't put it as a pillar makes me think we might see some changes there. But there you go, guys. There's their philosophies. I think they're setting us up, and we'll get more details in the coming days. That doesn't mean we can't have good conversations. Drop your comments down below. Drop your questions. I will be screenshotting them and showcasing them tomorrow on the next episode of Guild Wars 3 Daily. If you want notifications for when those go up, check out the Discord or, you know, subscribe. I don't actually know how the bell works on YouTube. Does that mean it texts your phone? I don't know. Check that stuff out. But thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think. And just to be clear, the whole way through all this Guild Wars 3 stuff, I will be here covering it just as we did through the launch of Guild Wars 2 and the later stuff in Guild Wars 1. Thanks, guys. See you next time. It texts your phone. Actual uncle moment. Yeah, that's what people say now, isn't it? They say uncle. Yeah, you know what I mean. It buzzes the phone, doesn't it? It buzzes it. All right, what do you guys think? Live. Frictionless stuff may fall into respecting your time. You're right. I think there is some overlap there. I think there is a bit of overlap there. You might be totally right with that. GVGs. Yeah, maybe they kill the world versus world, and they kill the meta event Zergs, and they kill the big world bosses. You know, another way to phrase... I should have put this in the video. Another way to phrase that, in a more provocative way to phrase that might be a bit more plain English, is to say Guild Wars 3 has no world bosses. In fact, I could do that as the title for the video. No world bosses in Guild Wars... WTF, no world bosses? There's a video right there. We'll get some clicks. It send an email to your portable telephone. What's that Mr. Burns quote? Send the telegram to Siam by autogyro, or I'll be arriving by autogyro. Guild Wars 3 will be an open world fantasy warframe type game. Here's my question, guys, to the live chat. Do you guys know a game that you think Guild Wars 3 is going to be like? Because here's my monogamer brain not working. This is where I'm failing as a pundit. Help me out. What does this screen... To the people who play lots of games. By the way, I haven't seen that moth. I'm very excited about that. I was so scared the moth was going to flutter up at me while I was recording that. Because I would end up freaking out. The problem with doing this live thing is if I fuck up, that's it. It's over. Like, I would have to go right back to the start or just roll with the punches, and it just looks unprofessional. And I would be screaming by a moth. NGS, Soul Frame, Destiny, Destiny 2, Night Rain, Warframe, an action game both focused on movement. I think AreaNet are talking a little bit more about exploration and world structure there, though, than they are just action, aren't they? Club Penguin. I did a stream on Club Penguin once, I think, when we were sampling other MMOs, around when I did Lord of the Rings. But didn't Destiny 2 just, like, keel over and die? I was watching a YouTuber talking earlier. I don't know how to say his second name. Jason Schreier. His YouTube channel is blowing up at the moment, and he's genuinely very, very passionate, very articulate, eloquent guy who really understands. He's been in journalism, real video game journalism for a long time now, and like he can tell you a lot about the business practices. And I was watching him talk about Microsoft and the problems that Microsoft have been having at the moment, and he talked about there was some game, some studio that Microsoft owned. It was called like Black Twist, Black Hat, Black Witch, Black something. Black Rain? Black Swamp? Black White? I can't remember. Anyway, and they just shit-canned it. And he said it's a real shame because, one, that sounded like a really good game. Two, it was exactly a Destiny-style game. It was a Destiny-style MMOE game. And Destiny 2 is exiting the market. There is a gap. There is a big gap for Destiny-style games at the moment. And Microsoft just fumbled the bag with it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about with that? His YouTube is great. Yeah, honestly, I've seen maybe 3 of his videos now, and they're all very good. Well worth a watch. No, don't watch them. He's so much more eloquent than me. You'll never come back. Blackbird, that's it. Blackbird. Yeah, there you go. So, I don't know. What was Blackbird? When I was listening to him talking about that, I was like, I wonder what Blackbird was like compared to Guild Wars 3. Oh, Mike Phantom says he's an idiot that is out of touch and needs to be quiet for the next 10 years. All right. Okay. I don't know. This is a bit scary now. Oh, I don't know who to believe. Look, all I can say is of the 3 videos I saw, he was perfectly informed. Maybe you can... Maybe we'll ask ChatGPT at some point what people don't like. Because facts are facts. You like reading this stuff? Yeah, thanks for clearing that up. Again, I do not... I don't have many rules, right? I'm happy to talk about weird shit, but I don't want to shit talk other content creators on this channel, if that's right, guys. Take it to DMs if you must discuss. This is also why I feel weird. Whenever I give someone a shout out, there's always someone who's like, oh, blah, blah. Anyway. Don't believe him. He's very well informed and neutral in his opinion overall. You've been following for years, all in good quality. He's written books and shit, isn't he? I mean, he writes for Bloomberg, guys. It's not the same sort of thing as what you're listening to right now. Chat limitation does not allow me to explain in full detail. What does that mean? You want to use no words? All right, guys. This has been really long. It's been wonderful. I had another donation. That's from Matthew Winter. Matthew, I don't want you to go forgotten here. You just donated $20 for the new PC. Thank you so much. You said, can you talk about... oh, do I want to read that? WP Devish in Guild Wars 3. Can you talk to your contact at AreaNet? Make it so. Oh, Dervish? You want me to go through whatever contacts I may or may not have and speak to these people that I always keep at arm's length to try to create something of a professional atmosphere, and to beg, and even if it's not their job, even if they're writers or whatever, right? And say to them, hey, can you put the Dervish in it? I have to say, I'm not going to do that, but I have to say, Dervish is on the table, man. To quote Mike Z, it's on the table. Because the gods and humans, and why not, right? And Alona is established. They could even be like fucking badasses. They could even, I can't remember exactly what Nightfall sets up as their law, but they could be like high up in the society. You know that council we heard about? It could be a council of dervishes, right? And they're all dervishes. Once you have that kind of affinity and connection to all the gods, not just one, you're sort of at another rung, and that's what this, maybe the earliest dervishes were up there or something. I don't know. That's just my little fan fiction. I'd write shit like that into the story. You want Mesmer? Yeah, okay, so I've read the post now, and what I think I'm realizing is that it was very high-level, businessy, and I think he was talking about multiplayer stuff. He was talking about mega servers, he was talking about hubs, he was talking about party sizes. He wasn't talking about buildcraft and number of classes and stuff like that. Wouldn't it be cool if they went back to a primary, secondary thing where it was like... What would you guys prefer? Sorry. Oh, God, I got to end this episode. Fuck. Okay, no. Yeah, one more poll. I want to know, and I'm a bit nervous that the Guild Wars 1 side of our community is just sort of going to fan out and geek out, and you're going to vote on one of these just out of novelty, so please try not to. Would you rather elite specializations or multiple professions? Or some kind of hybrid of the two? They'll probably pick one of these avenues, right? Or something totally new. And when I say elite specializations, I don't want you to get weighed down in the fact that they're not perfect in Guild Wars 2. I don't want you to think too precisely about what an elite specialization is in terms of utility skills and weapons, and the fact that, you know, we didn't get them for a long time, and now that they've changed them, and I don't think so much about that. Think about just a whole new RPG that gives you a class, and then there's multiple ways to specialize that class into a Templar or a Zealot or whatever. Lots of RPGs do this now. Huge. I just talked about Heroes of Hammerwatch 2 does it. So many games, and it's a really strong system. So what do you want? Do you want to see multiple professions come back where it's kind of implicit what your flavor is? Or do you want defined flavors through, like, you know, buckets that you opt into with elite specializations? I wonder. I don't know which of those I prefer right now. Assuming they do either. I do totally acknowledge that they might do neither, that they could do nothing, that blah, 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 blah. Just out of those two, I'm curious. Because I'm kind of split on that. I don't know what would be better. There is a lot of nostalgia and intrigue to me with the multiple professions, but I also think elite specs are fucking good. When they're good, they're really good. And if AreaNet can build an RPG from the ground up to support them long term properly. Oh man, can you imagine how fun it would be to design all this shit? I'll tell you why people get into MMO development. All right, 60%. 60% say multiple professions. That's interesting. I'll tell you why people get into MMO development, even though it's so hard and shit. It's because this stuff's fun. Imagine someone paying you to actually work that kind of shit out. That is fun. They will have been having a lot of fun meetings. They will have been enjoying themselves the past few years. Gemini KLY says, if Guild Wars 3 has a coin-based currency, which god or other design would technically be on it, theoretically be on it? I think you would have... on the obverse, I think they would do it by denomination, right? So I think the platinum coin is Dwayna. I think the platinum coin is Dwayna because she's the leader of the gods, so she gets kind of top billing, if you like. Either that, or they don't have a portrait and they have, you know, the whole pantheon is represented on their whatever their biggest coin is, their pound coin, their platinum, because it's a platinum bar really. Which is not really coin, obviously. It's more like bullion. But if they do that, I think Dwayna would be there. I think Abaddon would be on the smallest denomination, like the 1p. Because Abaddon is like... well, okay. I was going to say because Abaddon's kind of quiet and secretive and he's behind closed doors a lot and he's not necessarily there for the people a lot, maybe. But then again, maybe the smallest denomination is like for the small folk, and it's like Melandru, because we all live among nature or something, or Lissa because she continued to interact with the people far longer than the other gods or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think you'd have a different god on each obverse for as you climb up. Obviously, that's a giant troll answer. I have no idea, but there you go. $5.99 for that. Thank you very much. Is this before or after decimalization? No, I don't think it is. Well, it is decimalized, actually, isn't it? But they do have 3 tiers. The silver in Guild Wars 2 is basically the old shilling, right? Except it's not 20 to a shilling. Sorry, it's 12 pennies to a shilling and then 20 shillings to a pound. But we're just decimal in Guild Wars 2. I actually don't know why they call it... I don't know why they call it decimal instead of centurial. Surely it's centurial, right? It's not 10 pence to a pound. It's 100 pence to a pound. And yeah, I get that that's divisible by 10. But still, it's centurial, isn't it? Anyway, the UK was quite late into it. The UK got dragged kicking and screaming into decimalization. France had already done it. France went mad with metric and sort of gave it to the whole world, really. The Americans had done it. Loads of European states had done it. And we waited like 150 years. Grenthon the smallest because he's the new god? That's an interesting idea. And so do they have like a big commemorative 50p that they do all their fun designs on? Their festival designs and stuff? Alright, guys. I can tell that some of you are getting bored and your brains are slopping out of your ears. Thank you very much for watching. This is Guild Wars 3 Daily for today. We're at 2 hours, 20 minutes. This is one of the longer episodes we've done. Much appreciated. Drop me your comments and thoughts. I still want to get to the topic of other races. So keep those coming. Also, what date is it today? It's the 18th. Oh, but only because it's after midnight. In a couple of days, I think my Reforged interview will be going out. I have fully edited it. I had a lot of fun. They've got the draft. Once I get the thumbs up on their end, I can post it for you all. And there'll be a little something there for the Reforged fans. And you'll hear me talking about Reforged more in these videos going forwards. This should just be called Guild Wars Daily, shouldn't it, really? Not Guild Wars 3 Daily. Anyway, so yeah, keep an eye out on all of that. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the donations. Thanks for helping us get this PC and improve our frame rates and all that stuff. Like, look here. Look at this. Look, I'm on 25. Why did it drop to 25? I get so many massive stutters. This is with shadows off and reflections off. Oh. I'll see you guys next time. And this is a real outro. And you'll notice, again, it doesn't bug. Oh, yeah, and check out Venu's thing as well. Cheers, guys. See you next time.